Hey, what's going on, guys? All in channel host Sega Forever here, bringing you guys a brand new podcast. I'm going to be continuing this series, changing the narrative, and basically we're going to focus on Gamepass. If you guys have been keeping up with current events, especially all the stuff that's going on online, um, you can understand that Microsoft is actually changing the narrative when it comes to this console war. And I'm happy to have Hibot, the world's most powerful gamer here, is nice enough to join me on this podcast and share his opinions and give his thoughts. And we're going to get into this real quick, man. So go ahead, Hibot, introduce yourself.
Stop it. Stop it. You know the pleasure is all mine, brother. Me being here is like, how can I? It's like me having a special event or going out with the family. It's always a pleasure, and it's always fun because me and you, we have such a big disparity in the difference of time zones, right? So people don't realize how hard it is for me and you just to get together and do anything at any point because of that disparity in the time zones. So, when we get to do them, it's always like, a very special place for me personally in my heart and and all the things that I do, because I do so many things with other people as well, because of the fact that, I get to spend time with you and and speak about gaming, which I completely enjoy because, we're both pretty grounded in the same style and thought process and how we carry ourselves, right? We try to be more intellectual about things, soft spoken, and kind of basically being logical instead of just jumping the gun and not really thinking. So being here is always an honor, it's always a pleasure. I told you, your brand is part of my brand, and vice versa. And that's the way it'll stay. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure that you feel the same. Feeling is mutual because you've made that very clear. So, I'm glad to be here. And guys, you can find me as always on YouTube on Hebot and on Instagram on the C underscore respect and on Twitter on the Hebot Powerful Gamer. And I'll give you the rest later because we want to talk first games and then I'll give you the mumbo jumbo later.
Yeah, man, it is definitely, we have to kind of move mountains to do this. So, like I said, I do appreciate you being here. Um,
Yeah,
and just to let people know, I mean, I would more than welcome anybody else to join the podcast, but the time differences
absolutely.
are bad.
Yeah, it's
So it's
rough.
not, yeah, it's rough.
Mhm.
We kind of have to plan this a little bit ahead. So, and talking to Hebot about this series that I wanted to do for the channel. The reason why we're doing this, man, is basically, at least for my channel, I want to speak truth to power when it comes to a lot of the stuff with gaming. And, a lot of the stuff that's going on right now for Microsoft, it's a good time to be a Microsoft guy or an Xbox guy, most definitely. Because the narrative is shifting. And it's shifting because of, demographics, economics, a lot of the stuff that's going in the world. But it's also shifting
Oh,
because of what's going on with Microsoft themselves, especially with what Phil Spencer's done. So
yeah,
last week we
yeah.
talked about Bethesda, the purchase of Bethesda, and that purchase was so important because when it comes to this console war, that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. That's what we said last week. It was that one thing that Microsoft did, show not only flexing their muscle and showing what an economic powerhouse they are, and basically
Hmm.
showing the difference between Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony. It
Right,
was something that they did not just for themselves, but for their fans.
right.
Fans like me and you, who've been sitting here waiting for Microsoft to do something, who's been holding the
Hmm.
line, who's been in the trenches, right? Who's been
Hmm.
fighting the good fight, and who put a lot of faith in Phil Spencer. I know me and you have done that. I know other people have kind of fallen off when it came to Phil taking over. But, we got behind him. Not totally at 100% in agreement, right? But, you know, we took a wait and see attitude to see what he was going to do.
Right. Hmm.
And basically, what we're experiencing now is, as they say in Star Wars, right? You're going to see the full impact of this of the Death Star, uh,
Hmm.
and that's
The
what's
full
happening right now.
power of the
Yeah.
Death Star. Mhm.
And so that's what we're experiencing now. And so when we talked about that with Bethesda, I mean, it rocked the gaming industry. And we're not going to get back into it. You guys can watch the video where we talked about it in detail. But it basically rocked the industry. But the other thing that we want to talk about is basically Game Pass itself. Because where Bethesda basically rocked the industry, Game Pass actually is the great equalizer. That's what I like to call it. Right? It's that one thing where, as Microsoft guys, we look at, and we knew this from the beginning when we watched it, right? When it came into fruition and stuff. But when you look at Game Pass, that's that one thing, that one talking point that Microsoft guys have that Sony guys can't actually say anything about. Or they can try and say stuff about it, but it just makes them look bitter and petty.
Right. Or childish and ignorant. Right.
Because I mean, for a lot of the PlayStation, for all these years from the PlayStation side, it's been about the AAA titles, which we can have a debate about that. That's not what we're going to do here. It's also about the power of the system, which is nil now. Right? They had all these talking points that Microsoft slowly changed, but the last straw they always had was those AAA titles. And then Microsoft needed something to change that narrative, and that's where Game Pass comes in. So that's basically what we're going to do in the podcast. I'll turn it over to you, my brother. If you can give your opinions on what you think Game Pass, what it means for Microsoft. We'll talk about present, future, everything in between. But go ahead, give your thoughts.
Well, I mean, there's this Game Pass, like I've said before, even myself, right? When it first started, right? It was a big, kind of a kind of like a big doubt type of moment because all those streaming services have been around and existed for many years in the console space. We've always seen that at the end of the day, ultimately, they never really worked. You know what I mean? They never had success the way that I feel other people thought maybe the same way Microsoft did that it would, right? But it didn't. But I think a lot of that comes from the fact that it was an idea that was way ahead of its time where people just weren't ready, right? You understand what I'm saying, my brother? Or where people were just not ready, right? And hey, how are you? Unlimited. So, basically not being ready is really the reason why a lot of these services were really didn't work the way that the Game Pass is impacting. Um, because even PSN now, right? It's been around since PS3. A lot of people actually believe that it was before Game Pass, or actually that Microsoft copied them from because of PSN now, like if they created it and the idea, right? And I guess maybe to a certain extent, Microsoft got motivated to trying and dipping the waters and doing their own version, but clearly Sony didn't do it first, right? But because of that, because competition obviously brings better results, right? So they made their own version and dived in because they needed to look for an angle where they could make the Xbox consoles and platform and ecosystem much more attractive. Because as you knew, they had too much damage created and done in the beginning of last generation in 2013 with all the narrative that was being pushed with the DRMs, right?
Right.
Because DRMs, again, as we know, is something that existed on PC, something that existed on PS3. But since they never talked about it to the public, nobody knew that it was there, right? So because they didn't know it was there, nobody had the fear, but it was there, and nobody really cared to understand, right? But since Microsoft tried to be transparent about it and explain how it was going to work, to try to get people ready for the differences of how things are going to work in the future with consoles, these people took it and saw an opportunity in a window to kind of twist it around against Microsoft to work against their favor to hurt them long term, right? And what they did was created that fear mongering thing where people were like, well, I'm not going to be able to own my games, or they're taking away my rights, or they're going to be spying on us and everything we do every time we're in our house, every 24/7. They want to spy for the United States government, all kinds of crazy stuff and conspiracies, right? Um, that in reality is the same type of procedure and same type of process that has been existing on cell phones, for example, for years, many, many years, because it's an online always device, right? So it needs to be authenticated to make sure that each person using those accounts on those devices that is that person. So nobody will breach in, steal your information, steal your stuff like your games and stuff, so forth and so forth. That is the whole reasoning why they have to do what they call that 24-hour check-in to keep authenticating it, right? Because anything online is at risk of being hacked, right? And that's very dangerous territory. So Microsoft was thinking in that term or in that sense, right? And so they quickly listened because they saw the backlash, and what was announced never even happened. Never happened. Never happened. So even though it didn't happen, the media kept pushing it and pushing it. Oh, you can't, till just the very tail end of last generation, I still heard people thinking that you couldn't play your used games on Xbox. That's how bad it got because you would go into the store and they would push it. You would go into, YouTube and any channel, and they're always pushing misinformation. And that's where the danger came in. So Microsoft, early on, when they made Phil Spencer the head of Xbox, he saw the damage. So he needed to figure out a way to fix it, right? To stop the bleeding, so to speak. And so he figured, well, how can we entice them? Well, let's do a service. Well, we'll have all these games on there, pay $10 a month, and they're not forced to buy the games day and date, and they'll even get discounts. And we'll add our backwards compact catalog in there as well, and stuff like that, and we'll grow it. We'll grow it. We'll even start adding new games day and date, and then we'll see where it goes. And I think as soon as they started to see the success, and they saw that the narrative was still continuing, they decided to get bold and crazy. And they said, well, we're going to put all our exclusives going forward, day and date, on Game Pass. You no longer have to buy the game day and date, day one, from the store anymore. You can get it on Game Pass. We're going to provide it for you. And your support will allow the game to grow and will allow us, the developers, to make money. So I think that was like the really flipping of the switch, turning point where it actually changed Game Pass to the stratosphere that it's in right now, where it changed it to a whole different thing, where it's almost like this, like you said, what you said first earlier. It's you put it so elegantly, the evolution. What you called it? You called it. You call Game Pass something.
Oh, it's the Great Equalizer. Yeah.
Yes, that it's become the Great Equalizer, and like as you so eloquently put it, because it changed everything. It's something that's never been done. Yeah, when people put exclusives in their services and stuff like that, even Sony, but day and date, the very brand new game, very first time, never. Even with the old services from back in the day, never been done.
No, I 100% agree, and a lot of people.
So,
I mean, so I wouldn't be so hard on ourselves because I mean nobody saw this coming. I don't care what they say. I've seen a lot
yeah,
of people out there.
nobody, absolutely, 100%. Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah. Because I've watched like a lot of content, and you get people kind of saying, "Well, we kind of saw this and kind of saw that." Dude, nobody saw this.
Nobody saw it. No, that's a lie.
Nobody saw
You're
it.
absolutely right.
You're absolutely 100% correct.
No one in their right mind thought. Excuse me, guys.
Okay, good, you good.
And then here's the thing too. Even to myself, right? When I saw them do it, right, I was like, either this is a cry for of desperation, or they're seeing something that we don't see, right? Because I was like, they're just so desperate at this point where they want to even put their exclusives day one, because that's so enticing and that's so attractive that even the most casual of casuals or the most hater of haters can't say no. You see what I'm saying? Say, it's just what you could play Gears of War 5 day one on Game Pass for $5 or for $1 if you got it for the first time, or for $10 a month. You get what I'm saying?
Or for or for free if you have big.
Right. Or even through a trial. Because
Right,
a 14-day trial for new members still allows you access to the game.
right.
You know what I mean? It's not like when you do it with other streaming services or other services that you got like minimalistic type of access because they hide the big stuff or the meat of those services behind the actual full subscription. You know what I'm talking about? Saying? Like you'll just get a demo or maybe a couple of movies that you can see, not really anything else. So even that, right? So it was just something that became so appealing and so unreal that it almost felt like it was is Microsoft
Too,
playing a prank on us?
yeah, it's like
You
too
know,
good to be true. Like you gotta pinch yourself. Like we're waiting for like the other shoe to drop, as they say.
exactly. I mean, come on, brother. Be honest. You told me honestly. It almost felt like, nah, this can't be real. This is a fucking practical joke. It's not real. There's no
Yeah,
way.
April Fools. Yeah,
Like an April Fool's joke. Exactly. And little did we know, right?
right.
Little did we know that it was because they were already seeing, I guess, by the data with certain games, like for example, like Sea of Thieves, right? That they knew for a fact that if they would have just sold it straight out, flat out on the store, the game would have never made any numbers. It probably would have sold 1 million copies, if that, because of the fact of the type of game it is. That it's not really a big AAA budget uh, presentation type style game where you can fool all the casuals to come in and run and buy it right away. It was going to only be the hardcore gamers that understood it that would actually give it a try. You see what I'm saying? And they must
Well,
have seen that and noticed. So they were like, you know what? Well, ask mommy to check my cards in my pocket. So they were like, if we put it there, more people will come in, they'll check it out, and once they see that it's a good game, that they're having fun, and more people come in, they'll buy the game or they'll engage in it. And it also, they must have also seen some type of data behind closed doors with the demo of the beta that people were trying to really talk about the game as a streaming type game. Because,
right.
Sea of Thieves, for example, lends itself very well as a streaming game. That you can switch and play it all the time.
Right.
So they must have realized that when they were had it in the demo stages, right? Because a lot of people had early access and were playing it for over a year, and and we didn't even know that. So so what we saw as this is unrealistic as the time has gone on. Now that it's going on almost about 3.5 years, the Game Pass has been a thing. Now you see everything that they were the process behind it because it's quickly becoming not only the best place to play or the best service in any medium, but it's very like it's a place of discovery, like I've said before, and I know I use that word a lot. But you discover these games, full games, where you're not forced to feel like you have to buy it day one. Where if you lost your job, you don't have to feel like you're missing out because you can just play it there day one. Where you don't have to feel I'm taking a risk because I don't know enough about the game. even though it looks interesting, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough for me or my taste, to go out and buy it and then feel like you threw away your money or lost it. Damn, that looks clear. You understand what I'm saying? Say it further.
Yeah. Well, I'll
So,
say this, man. Whoever is running the analytics behind this stuff, that dude deserves a raise. Because they deserve a raise. They deserve something because I'm telling you, the analytics that's behind all of this kind of stuff. Because look, like you said, nobody saw this coming, right?
right,
Um, but them to have the foresight, and we kind of see this in some of the stuff that Microsoft does, the way they run their business. And I'm talking about Microsoft proper, right? Because we've had Groove Music, and like I buy my movies and stuff off of the store and everything like that, and their apps and all that kind of stuff. Um,
right,
and I know that they're no stranger to that kind of stuff, but to kind of take that analytics and then basically fit it specifically to Xbox and the Xbox brand and the business. Yeah, that's what I'm
right,
talking about. So whoever, and I know Phil has a lot to do with that and his team. So kudos to them, man, because that was actually a smart thing that they did.
right, right. Well, I also remember the proposition of the fact that when you got something like Netflix, right, or even HBO Max, you see how attractive it is right now, right, at the moment, because they were forced, right, to put in their theatrical movies day and date on the service, right? But what it's creating is creating a lot more buzz and excitement because now people feel that they don't have to go to the movie theaters and watch it there. They can watch it in the comfort of their own home, right? And that
Well,
they don't have to feel like go watch it and where they got to be around people that maybe are going to be rude, make noise, not be considerate, whatever. But the
well,
biggest difference,
here's the only thing I'll say. The difference I see with Game Pass and what's happening with the other streaming services and stuff like that, is that the streaming services are more reactionary, right? They're reacting to the audience. They're reacting to the fact of the situation we're in now, as far as the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. Whereas Game Pass is actually has a little bit more of a plan. Understandably so. I mean, they're looking for something, right? They're looking for something that'll make their brand appealing, right? Trying to get over all the things that it's been labeled as you said, earlier. Um, but it's definitely a lot more organic, and I think a
right,
lot of
right,
that has to do with Phil Spencer, right? And his thought process, the way he approaches stuff, because he's been saying that ever since the beginning. In fact, it used to make me sick, to be quite honest with you. When you're in the
no,
trenches, man, getting stomped, right? And then you have this guy saying, no, everybody, we should all get together. Look at this kumbaya crap that he do.
yeah, kumbaya, kumbaya, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, looking at it now, I mean, it was a hard pill to swallow then for some of us. But looking at it now, right, that's part of what's making Game Pass not just the reaction, not just the generic answer.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
it seems like like you said, man, like you said earlier, dude. It's like the first time you experience something that was kind of life altering, right? Like the first time somebody ever heard the Beatles play, or the first time you watched Star Wars in the theater, right?
Right, right, right,
It
right,
has the potential to have that kind of impact.
right.
Like when
It
people
was
talk
something.
about Netflix being like, oh, I remember when I used to have to order the movies online and you get the disc in the mail, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Which, in
So,
fact, which
but
started,
now we don't even. That's just an afterthought.
yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
And so
But the
for
thing,
me,
but
Game
the,
Pass is on that. Yeah, Game Pass is on that precipice. They're on that
right,
precipice of greatness right now.
yeah, right, right. It feels like it only has room to get better and not die off.
Right.
I know exactly what you mean. But the other thing I was trying to add before what you were saying, the other biggest difference too between the movie theater services like with HBO Max, right,
Right.
is that you can't buy the movies. You can't own them, and you're still paying $30, for example, to
Yeah.
play for the movie.
Yeah. For just that
With
brief
Game Pass,
experience.
right, with that brief moment, right, where you
Right.
because when you rent them or even when you buy them, you can only watch them the one time view. They give you 2 weeks to watch it, and then from the moment you play it, you get like 24 hours or 48 hours to watch the movie. or it expires. You see what I'm trying to say? With
Yeah, I
Game
agree.
Pass, it's not like that. It's not like that. You can buy the game whenever you want. You can play it whenever the hell you want, and you can own it whenever you want, and you even get a discount when you buy them. You see what I'm saying? And you could even buy it physical if the game's physical. There's no there's no handcuffs. You're not handcuffed in any way, shape, or form. I think the only negative about Game Pass is that obviously when you're having third party games like let's say Outriders, the way it is now, right?
Right.
You know it's not going to be there for a whole year. It's going to be there maybe 3, 4 months, maybe 5. If it does well, it'll be like Monster Hunter, maybe a whole year. Who knows? And then they'll take it out because they want to give the game some time in the market for people to go buy it as well. But that game lends itself very well for Game Pass too because it's an online only game. You see what I'm saying? So the fact
Yeah.
that it's online only, does it really warrant the purchase? You get what I'm trying to say? It's almost
Well,
like
I
if I'm gonna buy it and it's only online and it's only gonna work online, might as well just keep it in Game Pass because I have 300 access to over 300 other games, and I'm only paying $15 a month. If you get Ultimate, that means I can play it on the go on my phone also, or on my tablet, or on my computer, or at work, and I got the game all the time and the access to it. And you're getting not only the games, right? Which I want to kind of throw a little story in there with a friend of mine's, right? Because he's a PlayStation guy. Not only are you getting the games, right? But in this situation, you're getting the games with the next gen upgrades included. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, that's
You
one of the
don't
great.
have, you just get it right there and then, right? Or even if it has all the DLCs, you're getting it also. So I was talking to him because he's like, "Oh yeah, well I got Zombie Army Trilogy, right?" I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I got the update, right?" I said, "Yeah, that's cool. But the only reason you got the update is because you have PSN now, because you don't own the game, right? In order for you to get the update of the game, you would have to buy the next gen update version on PS5. With Microsoft, it's not like that because they have the smart delivery. So if you have the game, it automatically gives you the update for free, whether you have Xbox Live or Xbox Game Pass or anything like that. And if you don't own the game, they still have it on Game Pass with those upgrades and the DLCs included for for your convenience. You see what I'm saying? So it's not the same thing. It's not even nowhere near the same thing. And he was very hard pressed about it. He was upset, like, oh, but never, because I finally made it click in his head. He didn't realize, like, oh shit, yeah, he's right. You see what I'm saying? And that's the problem. Like what you were saying many weeks ago, you were one of the first saying it, how the shift within the media and the things that they're saying, it's almost unrealistic. So, I want you to talk about and touch on it like you did earlier because you put it more elegantly than I did and in detail what you were saying, how the media has almost like they have no choice. And now you see the shift. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when it comes to the media, and we'll do another one of these for the media because we got to do a deep dive. Because it's really it amazes me how everything's changed so fast.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
which is, and
Almost,
I'm not saying that as a negative either. I mean, there's a
no,
lot
no,
of
no.
positive.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Almost like in a blink of an eye. They almost feel, okay, the change and shift almost feels as unrealistic as when Microsoft announced exclusives coming date and date. If that makes
Right.
any sense as a good example.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then, like you were saying about Outriders, which I played, it does have a story mode. And the only reason I
Okay.
know that is because I'm having a hard time getting into a group, and that's probably
Oh, are
because of
you?
their servers and where I'm located. So basically, I kind of fly solo, which I don't mind either because I do like the premise of the story.
Right,
Um,
right,
so
right, right,
I've seen
right.
some people talk about how bad the story is, but I actually like it, to be honest.
Right,
Could it be better? Yeah, but it's the strength of Outriders and why people like it is because of its RPG elements, right?
right.
It's a
And the
it's
gameplay,
a looter shooter.
I heard the gameplay's really, really phenomenal. Like it's really smooth.
I wish the gunplay, you can tell it's kind of a Square Enix, like a Japanese shooter, because
Okay.
it reminds me of like Lost Planet. Was it Lost Planet, right? Back in the day.
Okay. From Capcom, you mean?
Yeah, so it
Right,
doesn't
right.
have that tightness that I like when it comes to the shooting mechanic. But other than that,
Okay.
I mean, it's still awesome. But other than that, that's the only negative I have. And then the story
Okay.
could be a little bit more fleshed out. But like you said, it's actually made to be. It's like Left 4 Dead.
Right.
You know,
It's a
there's a
soft
story, but
story.
that's not the drive.
Yeah. It's there, but it's more of a added bonus. It's a soft take on the story. Right.
Right, right. But I mean, it's actually the characters are pretty interesting, and again, the premise is good. Um, they could flesh out the delivery a little bit more, but I'm actually liking it
Okay.
because, like I said, I can't. And see, that's another thing, right? Like you were saying, um, that's what upset me so much about Call of Duty. After playing Halo and Titanfall on Xbox One on dedicated servers, right? I actually
Yes.
experienced the difference of the online play. And I couldn't go back and
Right.
play online shooters again if they didn't have dedicated servers. It was hard. I mean, I still play COD, but not on the level. It made me realize how like they say, lag kills. I wish I
Right.
wouldn't have. So I actually blame Microsoft for that because they gave us a seamless experience with both Halo and Titanfall.
Yeah, that's
Um,
another thing. A lot of people don't realize, my brother, to add to what you're already saying,
yeah,
that Xbox still offers free dedicated servers to
yeah,
all of their exclusive games.
right,
And they do it even with third party, but the third party choose not to use it.
yeah,
So they can use it as an excuse that, oh yeah, but you're using our servers. Yeah, but you can use it on their free dedicated servers of Microsoft and give us a better experience altogether. And they don't even do it.
right.
And a lot of people don't even realize, they don't remember that we get free dedicated servers with that online service that we play for Xbox Live. It's
And that's
not
the
peer to peer. It's not peer to peer. So it's actually actual high quality servers.
like I see that there's an Azure component to the game, but I mean, given the type of to be successful, right? You want that online component to really be working. Now, granted, I live in Hawaii, so that's another issue.
Right.
So other
In
people
your
might not be
case,
experiencing
that's
that.
in your
Yeah,
but
in my
that's your
case, yeah,
case.
right,
That's you're like one in a few because you actually live farther away where the online structure is probably still not that great.
yeah,
But other than that, it's not the game and the structure itself. That's just an inconvenience of where you live and not being able to they haven't upgraded the way they should have or haven't been able to due to the
and,
situation of the island or something like that. Right.
and that's something that they need to look at because they want to go international with this. We saw what happened when Microsoft did that event in Mexico. Man, people lost their minds over that. They have
Right.
fans overseas. They just gotta, and if they want to appeal to fans overseas, um, and I'm not blaming this on Microsoft. I just mean in general.
Obviously,
And
right. Hmm.
yeah, and I think Game Pass again, man. Game Pass is this vehicle that can do that. That can, like
Yes.
I love what Todd Howard said when he was talking to when they did that Bethesda roundtable. How Todd Howard was kind of talking about Game Pass, what they get out of it as developers, right?
Right. Right.
How they're able to see and interact with their fans and their consumers on a whole nother level because that's what Game Pass affords them. To look at things outside the box.
Yeah.
And for
Like
me,
there's a
that's
lot.
one of the things when I see Game Pass, that's definitely a plus side. That's
Right.
definitely something that can benefit not just Microsoft, everybody, anybody who's a gamer.
Right. Well, a lot of people don't understand either with what you just said, for example, that in a lot of these countries, right, other countries, right,
Right,
Game Pass is a godsend because for them, either they don't always get access to all the games, right, physically or whatever,
right,
and it's also much more expensive for them to
yeah,
buy the games. So for instead of having to buy it like what we pay for $60 in some places, believe it or not, some people pay $100,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's just way more expensive. So with Game Pass, it's like it's a stress reliever for them. It's a sense of relief because they can play these new games and not have to be like, well, where am I going to get the $100 to play it? I'm gonna have to wait until it goes on clearance, right? They don't know. They no longer have to do that. They don't have to wait until the game goes on sale 3, 4, 5 months, a year down the road, or go on clearance. They don't have to wait anymore. Now it's okay. Let's go for it. Let's go play. let's go play today. Day one with everybody, which is another element that you get when they introduce and include things like crossplay, right? Crossplay.
Right.
It's crossplay is another factor. That changes the game because now you don't have to buy it on multiple consoles. You can play with a friend, let's say on PlayStation, if he wants to play with you, because he don't have an Xbox or he can't afford both consoles. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Which is
it's consumer friendly. It's giving them more options, giving them more
yeah,
choices.
absolutely.
And I think that's why, look, like we talked about earlier, we didn't have the foresight to see what they were seeing, but we did see what Microsoft was doing behind the scenes. Now, to come to the point where they are now, yeah, again, it's hard for anybody to see that, right? But one thing that I like what Microsoft did is we could still see at that time that they built the groundwork. So look, here's the difference between us and a lot of the people that critique Game Pass. Like for us, it matters to us because we're actually in their ecosystem. We actually like Xbox, so that helps, right? We play the
Right.
games. And so when they come across, when Game Pass was first introduced, right, there's a lot of questions that we've had. We've talked about this, maybe not in a podcast, but at nauseum, right, on the phone. We talked about, what are their plans? What are they doing? But deep down inside, you want them to succeed because we all benefit. But the difference with us and then other people out there that was critiquing them, they're just critiquing them for the sake of critiquing them. Or because they don't like Microsoft and they don't like Xbox, right? The haters that are out there.
Right.
And then this narrative, like you said, started to form, and it formed in the gaming media and it formed in gaming communities about what Microsoft can and can't do. But what that didn't, what we did see was that Microsoft is building stuff. Like I said, hindsight is 2020. It's easy to
Mm-hmm.
Monday morning quarterback, but at least we knew, like with the ID and Xbox games, right? With Phil Spencer, like every year at E3, when we're waiting for them to announce the purchasing sale, which never happened. Phil's on the stage saying, we're building these, we're talking to Japanese developers, we're building these relationships. Aaron Greenberg, the same thing on Twitter and social media. You hear that over and over and over again. Well, now you're getting to see the fruits of that labor. It just wasn't something that they were just gaslighting us or just saying something to say for a quick PR turn or something to just get out of an interview. They actually meant it.
Right. It was actually them working behind the scenes, and it was just a matter of time for us to see it. Right. Absolutely.
And because they did that, and and they did it with a grin and a smile, man. That's the most amazing thing to me. They're better men than me, man, because I'm petty.
Oh yeah.
I would have been petty all the way through.
I
And
don't know how they took all that
Phil,
heat.
dude, Phil took it on the chin, under the chin, up the chin, in the back. I mean,
Yeah.
he was taking it from all over.
Oh
But he still,
yeah.
he still followed through. He kept his focus. And then now we get to celebrate this kind of stuff, right? And that's the only reason why I say this is the great equalizer, because they put in that groundwork.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Again, you can't we didn't foresee like I like how you perfectly said it, right? D1. Okay, maybe you can see that for the studios because they own the studios,
Right. Mm-hmm.
But when Octopath was announced, or when when they said Outriders, they right?
Yeah.
Major League Baseball.
Octopath really shocked me because that
Yeah,
was a game that's been on Nintendo heavy, and like I was like, nah, you won't see this on Xbox. Like, and when I saw that they announced it for Game Pass, I was like, wait, it's coming to Xbox, and not only is it coming, it's on Game Pass. I'm
yeah,
like,
it's gonna be on Game
damn.
Pass.
I'm
And
like,
it's on
this is,
sale. And it's at a discount.
and it's on a disc.
It's like like the same way like when I first heard it, because you listen to this in the background. I was at work listening to the background, and I heard the guy say Octopath, and I'm like, oh, they must be like Dr. Path or some kind of cheap knockoff you get from a third world country. That's what I was thinking because
or
I mean, my
Octodad, right?
daughter will attest to this, man. Octopath is one of those games that I'd actually buy a Switch for.
Yeah. I remember you said that to me a while back. You said,
Right.
it's one of those games that I would actually get a Switch with, even though I don't really like Switch. And I was like, wow, that's saying a lot. Yeah, I get it.
So for me to hear that, like I said, dude, I had to clean my ears because I'm like, wait, did you mean like Octopath? I mean, like the
You
one
did a
that's on Switch?
discount? You did a discount double take?
Yeah, I did. Just got double take. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, bro. I mean, I bet you there's a lot of people like, nah, I didn't mean Octopath.
He didn't mean Octopath. No way. He didn't say that, right?
Right. And look, I'm playing it now, dude. I'm actually trying to get the Thief. I'm trying to finish the Thief story, so you'll join my team. So I'm actually
Right.
playing that and Outriders at the same time.
And they're like, oh yes, he did say Octopath. What?
Dude, I went so fast to Xbox One. I saw that picture. I was like, oh my gosh! I almost cried. I was like, wow.
That's crazy.
And
That is
again, I mean,
crazy.
this is why the Game Pass is Game Pass, right? And a lot of people are reacting to it, but you can see the organic reactions, right, to this. I mean, it's real. There's a lot of people that are watching this, that are seeing this and realizing how good it is. I'll make an analogy. So I'm a Marvel guy, and so when
Right.
the MCU was first announced, right, they did Iron Man, right, and then so people forget like what Marvel had to do to get to get their universe up and running on the big screen. Like a lot of people don't remember that they had to take out a loan, right, to start their studios.
Yes,
And there was a
sir.
big risk for them with Iron Man. So if Iron Man flopped, they would have went down. I mean, it would have been you wouldn't get
And
all the footage.
that's the reason why a lot of their licenses were with so many different people. Like,
Yeah, Paramount.
Paramount has Hulk, and they had, I think, was it Blade? I think it's Blade, right?
I
Or was
think
it
Blade was at Sony.
and then you have Sony with Spider Man, and
Yeah,
then you have Fox with with the X Men and with Fantastic Four. That's the reasoning because they started to lease out and taking this risk because this was kind of like their last living breath. They were on lifeline, like you said. Right.
well,
It's a good.
they got so tired of like Kevin Feige actually. He's kind of like the best of both worlds in a sense, right? Because he knows the comic book side and he knows the movie side.
Right.
So Marvel wanted to actually do these movies that put their characters in a light that's more like the comic book, right? Because they would work with these other studios, but there was always concessions, right? You saw that in X Men, you would never get the full X Men outfit on these X Men movies, right? With Bryan Singer being the director, and Fox they have their own visions of what they want to do. I mean, still great movies, um, but
Mm-hmm.
that's why they took that chance, right? So they took that chance, they put themselves out there, and again, this was before Disney stepped in, right,
Stepped in. Yeah.
and basically secured theirs at least financially. And it allowed that universe to grow. But a lot of people forget how many critics there were out there, how much was teetering on of the balance of just on that edge, dude, that it could have all came tumbling down. People also forget how many people hated on these movies, not the Marvel movies, just comic book movies in general. This is not
In
something that the
general.
hoi polloi in Hollywood like. This isn't Emmy stuff. This isn't Oscar worthy, right? And so they were
Mm-hmm.
dealing with all of this kind of stuff, and they basically changed the narrative for their movies. Um,
Right.
and that's what we're experiencing right now. And I'll use that as a one for one because that's what you're experiencing right now with Game Pass. Because Game Pass is
Right.
going through a lot of the stuff. Microsoft's going through a lot of the stuff as the owners and proprietors of Game Pass, right? And in the beginning of this, like any gamer worth their salt and being what they consider a true gamer, right?
Yeah.
When some like if just imagine if this happened in the '90s, how excited we'd be. Right? If Sega did this or Nintendo, right? Given the time, the ability to get these games on a service and play it. Of course, technology wasn't the way it is now. But I'm saying, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so this is what Microsoft is doing right now. They're the ones that put themselves out there. They're taking the chance. Now, it doesn't hurt that they're $1 trillion company, so I won't give them too much. A lot of people listening that or might listen to this is like, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna feel sorry for a multi-billion, $1 trillion company. But still, I mean, there's a lot of risks involved. People could
Yeah.
lose their jobs, man. I mean, the Xbox division could go away. I mean, for me, it's just not about the money aspect of it. Man. If you're with a company like Microsoft, you have to produce,
Right.
and so that's what I find one of the things most interesting about Game Pass, because it is on that precipice of greatness. Because we're right here and we're experiencing it in real time.
Right. Which is yeah.
And you needed something like Game Pass because Microsoft and Xbox in general just have just the people that threw hate at them for no reason. They needed a game changer. They needed an equalizer. And then so just like when Marvel ended up doing with their movies is they bypassed Hollywood, they bypassed the critics, they bypassed the people that would never do those kind of movies, and they went to the audience. and the audience responded.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the turning point, of course, for me, when my turning point is Avengers, the first Avengers movie, and then the next turning point was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Because even then, I was like, because I'm a huge Marvel fan, so my critique of Marvel is very high. My standards for them are very high.
Right.
But they needed to get over their struggles, and they did. So after Guardians of the Galaxy, for me, it was kind of like, okay, this is it. We're moving. So that's how I feel with Xbox.
Right.
Like everybody talks about the One S, the one. Everybody, you know as well as I do, man. Just go back and watch some of those old videos. When people would talk about Xbox One, like the quick resume, right? The quick resume is a good thing, right? The power of the Xbox Series S is a good thing. The fact that they kept it on the $500 is a good thing. But if you go back and listen to these dudes, man, and we'll talk about this more in the gaming aspect and the media aspect. There's always that slide remark they gotta make, right? They always gotta go sideways with it, right? They just can't give Microsoft.
Yeah, they can't give the full credit. Yeah, it's always
right.
They'll give them credit, but they throw a shade while they're doing it, and then you call yourself an Xbox person. If you're really an Xbox person, you don't need to throw the shade. You make the critique and you make the comparison, or you give the compliment, and that's it. Because everybody else out there is trying to critique and say negative. You don't need to add more to it, especially you knowing the difference between Microsoft and what Sony went through. That Sony had basically a pass, while Microsoft was getting slandered for things that were even unnecessary or ridiculous, like the power break, for example. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Like there was always something, right? There was always a comment being made, right? There was always like something under their breath. And again, that's what blows my mind when Game Pass now. When you watch some of these guys' channels nowadays, it's amazing. It's like 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is organic. Like I'll give props to what's her name, Elena Pierce.
Okay.
I think she's the first person that truly came out and talked good about Game Pass, because she did it when people were still kind of like I said, dude, we're Xbox guys. We have critiques about Game Pass, right? That's not a problem for us. But she was one of the few people in the media that actually came out and was expressing her liking Game Pass and the value of Game Pass and why it's good for the industry before anybody else was.
Right.
So what you see a lot of people happening now, either like they're getting, I like to call it green pill, right? They're getting green pills, right? To the value, to the service, right? To the quality stuff that we're experiencing right now. I mean, that's what's happening. But a lot of these guys also know, man, that what's happening is like the normies are coming over. And the narrative is changing in the sense of, yeah, okay, we have better AAA titles, supposedly, right? But then the normies are looking at that, like, yeah, but that's $70. And I might not get God of War, which is the AAA title, I'm doing air quotes as I say that. It's a AAA title, but you know what I can get? I can get Octopath, I can get Forza, I can play what is it? Army 4?
Army Trilogy 4, yeah.
Or I mean the entire Bethesda library, right? All the first party titles from Microsoft. Yeah, I know they're not that good, right? Forza, it's just a racing game. That's what they say, right? I know that's not that good. But where they're losing the grip, like, and a lot of these Sony ponies are really understanding is that they're losing that middle ground, right? They're losing those average people that do look at costs, right? The parents, the kids who can't get their parents to buy $70 games is like, oh well, I'll get Game Pass and I'll just play these games on Game Pass.
Right.
Right. And that's the shift, and that's what these guys are not seeing. The media is picking up on it, number one, because, like I said, they're getting green pilled, and number two, because they have to.
Right.
Because as the normies shift over to the Xbox side, which is what we're seeing, right? I mean, when's the last time you saw, like, if you go online, like I use Bing, right, to get my points, there's constantly like people looking now for Xboxes. You see, like, all the headlines showing that, like, it's going to be at this Best Buy, it's going to do this, it's going to release them. We hear there's a stock coming out here.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity for it as far as what it looks like to me. People trying to find it and own it and pick it up, and the demand for it for sure. Yeah.
Dude, I live in Hawaii, and I normally don't have to jump through any hoops to get an Xbox, anything Xbox.
Right. I remember you said that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I had to actually go through a friend through GameStop, and I was able to get my Series X and Series S.
Right. Right.
But I've never had to do that before. So, you know, the whole thing of Game Pass is real. Now, I know there's a lot of haters out there that don't want to respect it, they don't want to accept it. And they can choose not to do that, but they're just going to be left in the cold at this point.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like choosing not to respect it is not the reality that hey, listen, there's no reason. You cannot act like it's not good. You get what I'm saying? Like you can hate on it all you want, but you're gonna look foolish because there's no reason for hating it, and there's no way you can find a reason to hate it.
The way that Microsoft has set up Game Pass and Xbox has set up Game Pass is they circumvented all those things that all those obstacles that were in the way. And basically went directly to the people. They're like, here, this is what we have. Here's your choice. You like it, you don't like it. They just gave it to the people, and that circumvented all that other crap that was around there. So because people are trying to convert over, right, it's forcing everybody else, both industry and gaming community, to adjust accordingly. Now look, there's going to be people that are just going to hate on Xbox. That are. But those people aren't really the problem. Look, you have two sides of this console, right? There's guys like us on our side, and there's guys like them on their side. Right? But it's all the people in the middle. Not to change topics, but the whole thing with the Snyderverse, right? What's going on with DC?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what. Right. That's what that battle is going. That's what's happening. Right. You have the people who support the Snyderverse and the people that don't support the Snyderverse, but it's the people in the middle that gravitates to whatever side is going to decide. And right now, that Snyderverse side is winning. That's the reality of it. That's what Game Pass is doing. And we benefit from it, and that's the bottom line as both consumers and fans, right? As people who use the system, like I was trying out a bunch of games. I watched one guy's video where he's talking about, I think it was Amazing Lucas, and he was saying, yeah, we know what you Xbox guys, you just play the game for a little while, and then you stop playing it. So you have all these games, but you only play 5 minutes of it. And I was laughing in my head because he's a Sony guy. What he doesn't know is, yeah, we play 5 minutes of it, then we buy the game. That's all we need. Like we know we like the game, right? We look at it and go, okay, I'm playing. Like what was the last game I played and I just bought it? Was it Void Bastards?
Void Bastards.
Because there's games as a gamer, I already know what I kind of would like and don't like. So then I play a little bit of it. I'm like, okay, I like it, and the price is good, so I'll buy it. Because in gold, right? Like it could be $19.99 or $29.99, but then it's in Game Pass, and we have gold. So like I think I got it for $14.99.
Right.
And I was like, well, I might as well buy it now. And that's the thing that these guys don't understand. Like that's what's pushing Game Pass. Look, if this thing wasn't working the way it's supposed to, Microsoft wouldn't be able to support
it. Right.
I mean, that's the reality of it. I mean, I think it was Dustin Nagiri, I forget what his name is. But Dustin.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. So he actually broke it down. Like he calculated, the subscription that Microsoft has and how much it costs and how much they make a year. It was in the billions of dollars for 1 year. And that's what blows my mind with a lot of these guys because they're talking about Game Pass in terms of the past.
Right, and the biggest difference too is that they're making their money, right?
Yeah, they're making money.
But they're making money while giving people something to feel like like it's worth their time. Because it's not like when you buy a game, it's gonna be online heavy and it has all these micros. So the only way they're gonna make money is because they're gonna force you into wanting to buy skins or DLCs or things like that because they're part of the game. If they're cool and you want to have them in the game, you're gonna go in and fall for it. And then these people like Activision will make $1.4 billion in off of micros alone, but won't make any more new IPs. They'll keep on, you know, pushing the Call of Duty only mainly, right? And they're not doing creative things, right? But yet they're making money off of these micros, but not really giving back in return. If you know what I'm trying to say, as far as the example goes. Meanwhile, Microsoft is not only giving you the accessibility, they're making you feel like your number one priority by giving you all these other things included, and there's really no strings attached. It's just you you're gonna get rewarded and benefit just for supporting our service. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's just like they help, they always tell you to diversify your portfolio. That's what Microsoft is doing, looking at that bigger picture. And being a big company like they are, I mean, they can. For like Activision and stuff like that, I mean, the Call of Duty, it makes them money. That's fine. But Microsoft is actually going to that 2 or 3 levels above that. I mean, just a lot of the R&D they get from all the analytics they're getting off of Gamepass and applying to other parts of Microsoft proper, the actual company itself as a whole. And that's one of the things I like about Satya Nadella, because he's referenced um, Xbox and he's referenced the gaming division when he's given keynotes. And everything is centered. It's all symbiotic. It's all it's all synergy.
Right.
Like even though the Connect didn't really work out I mean, we could still use it and stuff like that, but it didn't. Which is a big disappointment for me because I think it could have been more in the sum of its parts. As a but then now you see what Microsoft is using it for, right? For business applications, for different industries. So it goes beyond just the gaming. I'm pretty sure they're taking a lot of the stuff they're learning off of all this kind of stuff and applying it to other aspects of their business, of Microsoft's businesses. Which again benefits all of us, right? They want that ecosystem. The ecosystem isn't just the gaming. And for like guys who are just gamers, that could be as far as they take it, but it's going beyond that. Dude, I use like a lot of stuff like Bing. I just use Bing instead of Google now. I use Bing more just because I'm in Microsoft's ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still kind of 50-50 on purchasing digital movies from Voodoo and Microsoft, but Microsoft gets they get my money on the most part because I can balance the cost. Like Voodoo might have it cheaper, but I get kickbacks on the purchasing of products, and that includes movies and games. That can be added as big points, which can go towards my account, right?
Right. Which is a service program that is very helpful, and they don't offer themselves. Yeah. Go ahead.
So we're just seeing like, sorry, getting back to Game Pass, but I mean, it's something. Again, you talked about we didn't see. And but for some of see some of these guys are like, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense, right? And I'm like, well, I mean, look, dude, there's the risk reward thing, right? The pioneers take the arrows, right? Basically, and Microsoft put themselves out there. I mean, in a sense, right? Some people are saying, well, they have to do something, yeah, but still, to do what they did.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's visionary.
And it took courage.
Right.
A lot of courage because again, we ain't never seen anything like this before, brother.
and we'll wrap it up. I know it's running time. We'll wrap it up. We'll follow up. We'll follow up with this as far as the future of Game Pass. Like, give me your predictions, man. What do you see? How far do you think they're going to go with this?
Well, I mean, I think I said it a little bit and touched on it when we did the show last time, but I'll probably reiterate for those who didn't see, and plus, add a little bit more in detail. It's basically the sky's the limit at this point, because it's such a secret weapon, right? It's really a secret weapon that cannot be tampered with. The only real way you can touch Game Pass is if the other companies do the exact same thing and put their exclusives in the service and offer it for premium price monthly at a good cost and with the same quality, remember, as Xbox. Because the other thing is, these games are not being streamed, they're on dedicated servers, and these servers run these games. So when you're playing them through those dedicated servers, you're also getting the game at a like amazing quality and experience on Game Pass, right? Um, but the biggest thing, and what I say, it's a secret weapon in disguise is limited because, I'll give you an example, right? Right now, I don't see too many people saying anything about Oddworld Soulstorm, right? It's exclusive to the PS5, I think to the PlayStation 4 as well. And, it's a game that's been around since the beginning of the Sony era that we have seen through the years, right?
Right.
But as we remember, it was a game that also went from Sony to Microsoft because it wasn't really embraced on the PlayStation community, right? It didn't do that well other than the first one on PlayStation. So then the guy and the developer went hunting and searching and going around to see what he could do with his next game. And ultimately, it became the window of opportunity for Microsoft because they were introducing a brand new console for the very first time, and they needed content. They needed exclusive games. They needed third-party games that you couldn't play anywhere else to get that fundamentals, to get that experience, and to get that perception from the gaming community, the hardcore and the casuals, uh, in a different, you know, uh, level than what Sony, because Sony was already established, right?
Right.
So then you saw Monster Odyssey and Stranger's Wrath were Xbox OG exclusives, right?
Mm-hmm. Stranger's
And you
Wrath is my
see,
all-time favorite.
right, a
Um,
very good game, very good game, very
that
unique,
was
a
an
lot
awesome
of
game.
cool games together. Then you see things like Kena coming out as a third party for a year exclusive, right?
Right.
Even with Square Enix Final Fantasy VII Remake for 2 years exclusivity, let's say, for example, right? And I tell people, okay, they're going to get it first, but they're going to have to pay the $7 price point. Unless it's something they don't, um, um, really care about, so they don't feel forced and have to, pick it up, for example, right?
Right.
But they'll still have the option to play it first on their console. But now, with what we just saw with things like Outriders, Shadow, Cyborg Shadow, or Shadow Cyborg, that indie Ninja Gaiden S game that's on Game Pass, and even you know, uh, let me see what else. Remaster. Whatever you see that's time exclusive right on PlayStation. Now, what's to say? Because we're gonna also got something like Major League Baseball, right?
I know
You're
where you're
gonna be,
going with this.
say something like Major League Baseball. That
Right.
not only is it was known for them as an exclusive under their moniker, but now it's going to be on Game Pass. While we don't pay for it or have to pay for it day one, their audience has to because they're getting paid by MLB because they're the developer making the game and they're trying to make money, right? That's why they took the deal in staying with their in-house developer. But if they want to put it on PSN now, then they got to basically take the loss from the developers making money and pay back the MLB so they can have money, show them an incentive to pay the money to put it on PSN, hoping that people actually subscribe to get it because it's on PSN. You get what I'm saying?
Dude,
So,
there's a part of me that wants to believe that Phil Spencer did that with
on
some
purpose, on
sinister
purpose,
intentions.
yeah,
Because I mean, all the games, dude, that game. That's one of the
you
games.
know,
To be honest with you, I would never think we would get.
yeah, absolutely, and it's something that you would have never thought a million years.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I said that a year ago. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you remember because you follow everything I've done. I said it a year ago on Twitter, and everybody called me crazy. And I remember saying in the podcast,
Oh, yeah.
I forgot if it was with Mr. 100 or who it was, but I had said, just imagine if we get it on Game Pass day one and they got to pay for it because they don't own the MLB license. And people called me crazy. So now, every
Now you
game
can't find these guys.
now, all these games that Sony get exclusives, right, for time exclusivity with third party, although they get to play it first. Now I'm thinking, well, damn, when we get it, what if all of them come out on Game Pass and we don't ever got to buy them day and date, but we get them on Game
No, dude, and that's the psychological effect of all of this, right? I mean,
Pass?
getting the Octopath and getting MLB, getting Outriders day one because they're not Microsoft Studio stuff, right?
Yeah,
I mean, and just getting the games they've got in general, but this is always in the back of your mind, right? If you're on the Sony side, right? It's just like, you're just talking about Oddworld, and the first thing that came into my mind was like, I wonder if we're gonna get that in Game Pass,
That's what I'm saying.
right? Like you're
Imagine
saying,
when the Oddworld, right? I think it's a year or 6 months, right?
right?
Imagine if the exclusivity for that, once it goes down, right, or comes to an end, they go to Microsoft, and Microsoft, okay, we'll pay you, just put it on Game Pass, and they put it on Game Pass. They had to pay for it, even though they had it a year exclusive, but they had to pay for it. Meanwhile, we're just going to get it for free. But here's the thing: Sony sees what's going on, right? So what they're doing now is to make you get incentives. If you get PSN now, they're going to give you the game free. I don't know if they give it to you free where you don't have to always have PSN to access it, but that's what they're doing with Soulstorm, for example. I don't think it's where you'll be able to play unless you have PSN. I think it's under the paywall. But again, if we get it on Game Pass, then we don't even got to pay for it, even when we got it for the first time, we don't got to pay for it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the sad thing about that is, look, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not an MLB guy, but I said that in my video I did on my channel.
Yeah, I remember. I saw it.
But the interesting thing to me is whether I get something or not from the Sony side, it doesn't matter because I'm enjoying what I have now, and I think that's the difference, right? Because we're not thirsty over it at all. We're not. I mean,
right.
At least for me as a gamer, dude, there's 500 million things I could be playing on Game Pass. And then look, not every game is for everybody, right? But at the same time, this is not bargain bin games. I've been saying that for I don't know how long, like over a year and a half. And we know what bargain bin games are, dude, because we've been to like the Babbages and the electronic boutique, right? Picking up cartridges and stuff like that for $1-2. This isn't those days are gone. There's something for everybody within Game Pass. There's something that if you like to play games now, right, you can find something, and that's one of the great things, like you were saying earlier about that discovery.
Yeah,
right.
And deserves that diversity too. The diversity,
because that was one of the best things that we would have when we did dumpster dive, right, for a bargain game. I remember I found this mech game, and I bought it for like 50 cents at Electronic Boutique. Right. And I was like looking at it, looked cool, the cover looked cool, I liked the premise, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try it. And I just absolutely loved the game. It was kind of like Mech from back in the day from Xbox. It had that feel to it.
Right.
And I just played the crap out of the game. I only paid 50 cents. So what people are experiencing with Game Pass, and Game Pass is giving them again that wonderment that we experienced as gamers back in the day, right? When we didn't have internet and online services and stuff like that. You just went in. You have to know your craft, man. We have to know you're a gamer, man. You have to know what you knew, right? You have to know your craft, right? Money. We didn't have money, right? There was things that we had to do to get these games or play these games, right? You had to swap out. You had to go over to a friend's house. You had to do all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But those times have changed. But the one thing that doesn't change, man, is that visceral feel you have when you experience something for the first time and it blows your mind. And that's the power of Game Pass.
Right.
That's like you were saying earlier, the wonderment. And the other power of Game Pass, I want to say this before I forget.
Mm-hmm.
The other power of Game Pass is people realizing, right, that they actually have good games. Right, because the narrative has always been like, that's like I said, the dumpster games, the cheap games that are just ID at Xbox, they're just knockouts and all this kind of stuff. What people are afraid of now is that they're coming over and they're playing these games and they're realizing, wow, these games are actually pretty good. Dude, Dustin, what's his name? McGarry?
Yeah.
Look, and I'm not hating on the dude, man. I mean, I'm not doing this to call him out or anything like that. I'm just using it as an example. So please don't go and bother this thing. That's not the point of the story. Right.
What's
So
the
he was
moral of the
talking about
story?
in Game Pass. He actually tried Rise Son of Rome in Game Pass.
Right, which is kind of hypocritical because he should have been tried it, especially if he's a
Yeah,
Xbox
industry guy,
user.
right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
he's
and an
talking
industry guy.
positively about Rise Son of Rome. He's talking positively, like how we've been talking about Rise Son of Rome
Right,
and how we want
right.
Rise Son of Rome because we love the game. And we're not saying that the game is perfect and that it didn't have its issues. We were very honest about that. But there's things in that would make that game, like I tell you, like I said before, like in any other generation, this game would have sold systems, right? It would have
Right.
moved systems. And then to hear him talk about it, and he's experienced for the first time. Again, I'm not picking on him because of his industry credentials. What I'm saying is that's a perfect example, right, of somebody, right, who's coming into Game Pass, experiencing games for the first time, who was more on the other side, right, starting to come over. And that's the thing that a lot of these guys like Porter Rock and all these Sony ponies, like these hardcore Sony fans, that's the thing they got to
Yeah.
worry about.
Well, the thing too, Sega forever. When we're playing them on Game Pass, right? For example,
Right.
that discovery also comes with a big boatload of satisfaction because we don't have no worry weight on us. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
We don't have a weight of worry in our back of our heads when we play the games, as if you would, as you would feel when you're, not sure about a game and you buy it in the store and you go for it because of what you see or what you read and you think you're gonna like it, and then when you're playing it, you might feel satisfied and get that sense of satisfaction and that you like it, but it's still not as satisfying the feeling as when you're playing it on Game Pass and you actually discover how good it is
Right.
without paying a cent. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
Because
100%.
because because not paying a cent and what it actually does is makes you wait to want to go buy. You get what I'm trying to say?
Right.
If that makes any sense, if we wouldn't have been hyped to buy a game, right, and we still went and bought it, because it's the normal procedure. We buy it, we try it, okay, and then we like it, great. We didn't really like it, well, we move on. It's part of the process. It comes with the territory. As opposed to this, we'll play something, I ain't gonna like this. Then you try it out, like me, when I play Minecraft Dungeons, right? I don't really play Minecraft at all. I think
Right.
the game, for me, I don't understand the love for it. I don't get it. I know it's like a digital Lego world. I get it. But I still don't like it as far as I enjoy Lego world in real world because you're building it physically in real life. So
Right.
that sense of touch, that sense of feel, that sense of accomplishment, if I build it correctly, if I didn't, it's what makes it fun, right? In a
But
game like
I'm,
Minecraft,
bro, just to really quickly, as you're saying that, so I can see Phil or Aaron standing before you go, oh, why don't you try this? Oh, you don't like it? Oh, well, how about this?
right, right. So
Yeah.
when I tried Minecraft Dungeons, which by the way we need to play, seriously need to play that game co-op. That
Yeah,
game
that
is
game's,
dope.
yeah, I love it.
I didn't think I was gonna like it, and God dog it, I played together. Like, oh shit, I like this. It's a good game to the point where I would literally actually want to go and buy it physical. And I don't think there's
Yeah.
a physical copy of it yet of the game. I don't think it exists, but I would want to buy it. Just like Battletoads, I played it. I enjoyed it. I don't like that it put maybe too many puzzle elements, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed it enough that I wanted to do a sequel, and I would go out and buy it, and I want to buy it
Yeah. Pretty
because
fun.
I enjoyed it. You get what I'm trying to say? Like
Yeah.
Cuphead, I want a copy of Cuphead physical, and we never got a physical copy of Cuphead. But yet
Yeah.
Nintendo,
I think that
but
ship is.
Nintendo, right? But yet Nintendo has a physical copy. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have the satisfaction to say, hey, you know what? We played Blazing Chrome. We played The Hunt Down. We played Shadow Wolf or Cyber Shadow. We played, MLB. You know, we played Blair Witch. We played uh, Outriders. We played Octopath Traveler, and we didn't play a set, guys. We had it on Game Pass, as opposed to you motherfuckers excuse my language, you had to pay for it. And if you didn't like it, you still had to pay for it. We didn't have to worry about that. And I know as childish as that sounds, and there's really no other word but childish. As childish as that sounds, is a very satisfying feeling as an Xbox
Well,
fan.
but to be honest, I mean, you're right though, right? Because
Right,
people, not everybody's like me and you. Like, we've been
right,
doing this for our entire life. We know what we like. We know what we don't like. But since we're gamers, there's a lot of things that we would even try, right? So if
right.
we, win, lose, or fail, right, we would be like, okay, fine. That's just the way it is. That's how our hobby is. That's why we call it not just gaming. We call it a game. It's a lifestyle. Right? We understand this. But the average person, right, because the Game Pass now doesn't have to go through that.
Right, because I mean, remember when we were younger, right? When we had like the Saturn, right? And we had
Right.
the Master System. There were games that we would see by the covers, just by the covers, that would look awesome in my pictures. But because we had only enough money to maybe buy one game or two games every month, right? Or every 2 months. We never took the chance to bought it and asked our parents because we were like, damn, what about they buy this sucks? You know what I'm saying? And,
Or like an arcade, man. Like an arcade,
right,
you only have so many quarters. Right? You have to be good,
right,
dude. Or
right,
you
right.
know,
Like, you got to be good because in order for you to see the whole game, you got to be good enough to play with 1 or 2 quarters. Now you're not going to beat it, but you
right?
don't have enough money, right? So you learn how to play the game so good that you don't have to worry about having a lot of money and you can still play the whole game. And exactly, that's another good example. But
And
now,
nothing worse than that final quarter, man. You spend it, it's down.
it's
You
like
learn real
now,
quick,
right? And now it's like with Game Pass, you just try it. You don't have to worry about it, and
right?
that's the beauty of it. That's the biggest appealing beauty of it. Like, and I think honestly, like you asked me, what is my thoughts and what is my opinion, what I think, and what I see. I really think the sky's the limit. I think we will be playing my, Odd Worlds, Odd World Strangers, Soul Storm, and Final Fantasy VII remake, and even something like Tina and all those games that are exclusive for PlayStation at the moment. I really feel like we will be playing them on Game Pass. I really do. Because I think that's the goal that Phil wanted with Game Pass. To have these games come day and day, even when they're first launched at the very first time, or when they make their debut for the very first time on Xbox Game Pass. Like
Dude,
like the Inside. Inside made its debut on Xbox Game Pass, remember?
you know, the sad thing about it is, on our side, that would be great. Don't get me wrong, right? Especially for some of those games, right? But like I said, we're not starving over it, right? We'll be
Right.
fine. But
Not for
the
the rest
guys
of
on the
now,
other
yeah.
side will absolutely freaking lose their mind.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it'll like
they already are. They
they're
already
already.
are.
But imagine, dude. I mean, and that's just a couple of these games, right? Which they never, yeah, because you're right, they are losing their mind. But imagine if all those other games just started coming over. Imagine if
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man came over.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Imagine.
Imagine if Spider-Man came over, dude.
And it was on Game Pass.
Dude, imagine that. I mean, like, I don't care. Because, like I told you, I'm a comic book guy. So that's where
Yeah, yeah,
when I
yeah.
enjoy my medium, it's within the comic book. It doesn't have to be in the video game. It's nice, but that's not where I enjoy the medium of comics, right? I mean, these characters in the comic books.
Right, right. But I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so if it comes
So
over, yeah, that's cool. And I know that some people
not only do
would
they
want to
gotta
play
take
it.
right,
But
right, but not only do they gotta take the pill and swallow the pill of Spider Man made it over to Xbox, right? Because
right,
that's the first sour pill. Like, fuck, they got the game, damn it. Now we can't talk about it like it's great. It's not
dude,
only unplayable. But then
it
it's
would be
on
so
Game Pass.
bad. Dude, it would be so bad that I wouldn't even touch it, dude. I wouldn't even do a video. I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't even do a video about it, dude. That's out of respect.
Oh wow, you're so silly. Oh, you're such
Because it would be
savage.
officially over, man.
You're a savage. That's toxic. You're a savage. I can't talk to you no more. You're a savage.
Well, oh, but it's funny, right? It's just like the one narrative I hear a lot of times. Um, we'll talk about, as far as the future of Xbox. There's people saying, well, you're getting the games for free. You're getting the games for free. Well, no, technically you aren't, right? Technically you aren't. And the only reason I say that is because I think it's more impressive that Microsoft is actually charging you, right? You are paying a fee.
Right.
But what makes Netflix successful, at least for the most part, I mean, they're kind of raising the prices more and more, right?
Right.
Um, is that you're paying that fee, but it feels like you're getting this for free. And that's not us saying it as Xbox guys. These are like just in the general public. When I hear people, like I told you, I've been
Listen,
consuming a lot of content.
listen. I'm paying $20 for Netflix, right? I started
Right.
Netflix when it was only $3.99 a month. Okay.
I was there with you,
I'm
bro.
right. I'm paying $3. I mean $20 now, right?
Yeah.
And when you have over 3,000 programming of selections,
Right.
new, old, whatever, original,
Overseas, original.
overseas, premiering for the first time, whatever. It's like you're paying a penny for whatever content is there.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? It's the same with Game Pass. You have over 300 games with now EA and obviously Bethesda stuff, and you're paying $15 a month. It's like you're paying a penny for each game, and not even because there's 300 pennies doesn't equate. It would equate to what is it? How much is it? Like $30,
Right.
right?
Well, the
If you
value, that
if
value
you
that you're getting, that's what it boils down to. Everybody's like looking at it like this is such a great value that they don't mind paying. And
right,
that
but
to me, that's harder. And to me, that's harder to do that and get people to feel that way than it is to just give somebody stuff that they feel is free.
yes, you're absolutely right. It is hard to get people to feel that whatever they're purchasing, that they got so much value that they don't even think twice, hesitate, blink, or even cross-examine themselves. Should I keep on paying for this? I don't know. When it comes that they don't even look at their credit card, like I just let it renew. It's there because that's how it is with Netflix. That's how it is with
Pretty much.
Hulu. That's how it is with Amazon Prime. Especially that you get the option of getting free shipping all the time with your stuff. That makes sense. You know what I'm trying to say? Say forever. So when it
No,
comes
and
to
that's
when it
why I
comes to that
100%
point,
agree with you too. When you talk about like the sky's the limit. Yeah,
it's
totally.
and it's not just me sounding cliche or trying to sound cliche because it really is cliche, but it's true. There's no
But it's true.
way. Once you saw MLB the Show day one, and now PlayStation side they have to pay for it, dude. I'm not questioning Game Pass ever again because then anything can happen.
Dude,
Anything.
I told you, man. I told you, dude. It's just like when Marvel released Guardians of the Galaxy. I still have my doubts, but after they
Right.
released that movie and made it successful, I was like, dude, I'm done.
And
Yes.
yeah, you realize Marvel's doing so understands what they're doing,
Yeah.
understands the audience, understands how to captivate a new audience because nobody would have thought in a million years you would watch a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy and have people actually like it. People that had no clue what comic book was. You
Dude, people
understand?
used to make fun of me for reading that. I actually read the old comic books, and people
Yeah,
were like,
yeah.
hey, you're reading that.
Just
Go
like
read
people
X-Men.
make fun
Do
of you.
X-Men's out.
Yeah. That's like people made fun of you because we read things like I don't know. What was something that was kind of unorthodox back then, like Archie, let's say, whatever. Let's just say something like that,
Yeah.
or the Munsters, right? Whatever. And
Or like
and
even
then
on the DC side, man, like Booster Gold and Blue Beetle.
yeah, exactly. Like who the fuck is Blue Beetle? And now he's in the Injustice. He's one of the baddest characters in the Injustice game, and people
Right.
want a movie and a solo movie and figures. You know what I'm saying? Because the merchandise comes into play also. So yeah, absolutely, man. Right now, I mean, as mean as it sounds like, but look, I'm gonna say one more thing. We could probably end there because I know you wanted to end the stream, but
Right.
I don't know if I mentioned this to you before. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I saw an article today, right, where they were talking about how, due to the pandemic, right, and due to the
Right.
unfortunate situation that a lot of people, because obviously PlayStation 5 is the bigger hype right now because it's coming out of the big hype and success that Sony had with PS4, right? So
Yeah.
the natural transition, of course, is that people want PS5. It was just like the transition from PS360 to Xbox One. The hype was real. Everybody wanted an Xbox, right? But
Yeah.
when they did all the negative media and kept pushing it, that's when it started to kind of shift in a bad way. And people were like, no, I don't want it. Let me get a PlayStation, especially that it was $100 cheaper, even though they were not getting no games. right?
Well, don't worry, bro. That boomerang is coming back around. Karma, as you
Exactly.
know.
You had that console.
Yeah.
You had the console with a connect that you could still use for whatever you needed with the console, and actually stream with it at the highest quality. And it had at least 12 titles, right? Then you had the console on the other side where you had to buy the camera for 90 or 80 bucks separately. It was the lowest quality of camera, and you only had 3 games. 2 were indie, one was supposed to be a half-ass AAA, and it was $100 cheaper. You get what I'm saying? But there was really no sense of value, right? Other than, oh, but it's supposed to be more peace than the Xbox games. Then you come to
Dude,
see that still to this day there was no games, even on the weaker Xbox, that ever ran 1080p 60 like it did on the regular Xbox for any of their games. But the Xbox One did have a game, actually
bro,
2.
I've
You
seen
know
at
what I mean?
least 10. I've seen at least 10 videos. Right. I've seen at least
Right.
10 videos where people are actually talking negatively about PS5. I seen one
Mm-hmm,
dude's video where he
mm-hmm.
actually is like, I'm getting rid of my PS5, not for the Xbox Series X, but the Xbox Series S.
X, yeah. Mm-hmm. And they were
You know,
mentioning the things, features like the smart delivery, the fact that you had the expanded memory, so that you could play the games with the high quality, up-res, and not feel like you're tied in only to the memory internally. And they didn't even mention other features like the full backwards compatibility, the free upgrade enhancements with those backwards compatibility with 3 generations, the ability to have, if you have a family member that's disabled, they can play with you with the adaptive controller, with things like having the ability to play games with HDR, Dolby Vision, and 10, or Dolby Atmos Surround, which is not even available on PlayStation either. A bunch of features they didn't even mention. They were mentioning all this other stuff that really made it look bad, right? Because even the Series S supports DirectX Ultimate 12 or 12 Ultimate, and it hasn't even been utilized yet, right?
right,
Which they
right.
said will be available in the future for the S, which makes it even that much more attractive than a PlayStation, right? And they're saying this, so I know what you're saying. I know what you're getting. I saw those videos. I've seen quite a few of them as well. Yeah, yeah.
And again, this is why the great equalizer is Game Pass. This is allowing people to actually speak honestly about the problems that they're having with their PS5s.
Mm-hmm. Or the
And that's and
ecosystem itself, right?
right, and their lack of an ecosystem. It's
Yes.
amazing to me how all of a sudden everybody wants a gaming service on PlayStation. And I won't
Mm-hmm.
hold that against Sony, man. That's their own people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They basically cater to Sony and what Sony's giving them, right? So it's kind of funny and ironic to watch them complain about it now. But yeah, it is. This Game Pass is just totally flipped everything upside down.
Right. Right. Well, I tell people too. The other thing you got to remember is that Sony, they don't have the purse, because even though
Yeah,
they may be worth, let's say, 70 or 43 million or $1 billion. That's their net worth as a whole, as a company, but that's not really their value, right? That's not profit. That's not what their value is. That's what they're supposed to be worth with all their assets. So they're not really
dude.
making a lot of profit,
Microsoft dropped
right?
7.5 billion money on Bethesda. 7.5
Alone,
billion.
right,
Yeah,
right,
alone. That's crazy.
mm-hmm. Right, and made it back up. According to them, they already made the money back up, which
Dude,
is
imagine how
crazy.
many subscribers they got just off of that.
That's what I'm saying, which is crazy because a lot of those games are already older, and they still, you know, made such a big buzz enough where people actually came on. I'm going to subscribe. I want it. I want this,
Dude,
and they'll
I'm like,
continue subscribing.
dude, I'm gonna go buy it on digital. Like Elder
Right,
Scrolls
right,
and Morrowind. I had the original 360 games.
right, right.
So now I'm looking at it. It's on the spring sale, I believe, and I'm like, oh, I might as well go buy it now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, they know
It's
what they're
just
doing. It's crazy.
it's just like this game, Battletoads. I think it's like $5.
Yeah,
It's another thing, when it was
yeah.
originally 20
Battletoads is
bucks.
like 4.99, right? Isn't Battletoads is
Yes,
4.99?
yeah, it's like $5. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it originally was a $20 game.
And like you're
And
saying, on the Sony side, man, I don't know. like you're saying, like they have their fandom and they have their, they were the media darlings and stuff like that. But how does that translate into them actually pulling off what Microsoft is pulling off? I just don't see them doing it, and I'm not hating on them. I really would like to see them try and do it because
Right.
it is the infrastructure, it is the relationships, it is getting with these. Like, look, if you want to go back to the PlayStation, like I know you and Zolby was talking about it, it's funny that Zolby hates PlayStation 2. I didn't
Right.
see that coming.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
but when he talked about PlayStation 1, there are some awesome games on those systems that they could bring back, but I don't know if they could because of the whole, you know, those are like
Well,
third party titles.
lack
That's not
lack
Sony's.
lack lack of awareness because a lot of people that are new age gamers and they're fans of
Yeah,
Sony don't even know their old real legacy
yeah,
titles. For example,
yeah.
they don't know where they came from if they were good. Lack of the being able to bring them back out with the highest at a higher quality without being too expensive.
Dude,
Because
like I'll mention something like
you
Pocket
remember,
Fighter, and these guys don't even know what that is.
right? Like you remember that they were like, "Oh, we're gonna buy studios too," and now the only thing they bought was basically Insomniac, and it was even for like a fraction of a cost in comparison to what Microsoft bought Rare 20 years ago, right? Which is very indicative and very tell a very tall tale if you look at it
Well,
in comparison, right?
it's
And
funny
yet
though because
now they're saying
oh,
we're gonna build more studios organically, which means they're gonna take the existing studios they have, break them up
right.
into multiple studios, kind of like what Sega used to do back in the day with Hitmaker, AM2, right?
Oh,
And
those
then
are
they could
awesome.
and then they could make a bunch of other different games, like as individual
Well, that's how we got Crazy Taxi
developers.
and the tennis.
Yeah, I know, but with Sega, it made sense because they knew what they were doing. But with Sony, they're saying, "Oh, we're going to break up Naughty Dog into three parts. It'll be Naughty Dog, Naughty Fish, and Naughty Cats." Right? Let's say that's the name of the studio. Right?
That was wrong, dude. That was wrong.
And then they're going to make AAA games as three different entities. That's what organically means, right? Meanwhile, Microsoft just bought one studio that gave them nine different developers by themselves. You know, and I'm like, and for 7 billion or 7.6. So that's a very telling tale. And if you don't see that looking from the outside in, you're either in denial, you have a mental issue and don't understand and comprehend business, or you just don't, or you just I don't know, lying to yourself. I don't know what to call it. Because that's not even we haven't hit in the playground games Fable. We haven't hit Ninja Theory's Hellblade. We haven't even seen the new Forza, the new Halo. You know what I'm saying? We talk about games that are not even or developers and projects that have nothing to do with their big hitters that they already had set in stone and started already.
Dude, this could be rolling out. It's like month after month, week after week of just big announcements because all of this stuff is just falling down on the
Oh
way
yeah,
now.
yeah, and it's going to align to them where they will probably have an exclusive title once every month.
I would not be
You know,
surprised. It would be
you
crazy.
know, yeah,
Because like I was listening to these guys and they were talking about the exclusivity issue, right? And it blew my mind because these are industry people talking about it, right? And they're like,
hmm
well, I can't foresee this because Microsoft could lose money this way, right? But if they put it in Game Pass and they put it on PlayStation, they'll make money. And I'm listening to
right.
them and I'm like, the first thing that popped in my mind is like, okay, I can see where you guys are coming from. I see your point. Here's something that I want you to think about. Right now, Game Pass is at 15 million. That was when this guys were doing it. It's probably more now.
Well,
And
it's
then
a
I was like,
20,
did you guys ever stop to think that what if Game Pass hit 50 million subscribers?
right, right,
That whole argument is dead because not only
yeah,
are they going to make even more money, it's probably going to be to the point because of the market share, right?
yeah,
If everybody
yeah,
switches over to Xbox, you don't need to put it on anything else, unless
right.
Microsoft wants to, unless Phil's feeling nice, you know, and he's like,
Well,
okay, we'll give.
it also even has the opportunity. You know how they say the leading platform, and you
Right.
know basically how the old ways has always been they choose the leading platform platform based on obviously console sales, right?
Right.
But if something like Game Pass, right, and again, not sound like a broken record, hits 50 million, right? Let's just say the next 2 years, right? Let's just say it's 50 million, which it has very well much the potential to get there, right? Because if they keep making announcements and acquisitions, like imagine they buy something like Sega, dude. Like that'll be another big deal. Just hypothetical, right? And it hits 50 million, where now this is going to make developers look twice and be like, well, you know what? It's no longer the perception about what's the leading platform based on console sales. Now it's about, well, they have 50 million subscribers on their subscription service, as opposed to Sony, they only have 3 million people on their subscription service. So maybe we should just put our games first on Game Pass before any other services on PlayStation. You see what I'm trying to say? And they don't even have to have 50 million consoles sold. You get what I'm trying to say? So that could be like the new pillar or the new standard for what would be considered the leading platform.
Dude, it could be if that was the case too. The other thing you can look at is that Microsoft probably won't have to go out and get and they'll be able to get a better deal for themselves if they so choose. But then you'd have people knocking on their door to put their stuff in.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Where it would be to the point where people just come to them automatically because they're like, well, Game Pass is still fruitful, 50 million plus. All the games that go there, you see they're making success. They're doing well. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. That it will get to the point where they'll come to them. Listen, can we put our game here first? You see what I'm saying? Can you give us a deal? And that's exactly what I'm trying to say. It'll be the new staple for what we would consider or what we would looked at and what we knew as the actual method of, well, it's the leading platform. It's the leading service console service holder. So that's where all the games are going, and that's why developers are putting their games there first, right? You get what I'm saying? And you're kind of seeing that in the indie space because I think we've had way more indie games of the higher quality ones show up on Game Pass in such a short time than even PlayStation, to be honest. You know what I mean?
The total, the total the total 180. I was gonna say 360 to be funny, but how this generation started off, where everybody was talking about how everybody was talking about how important independent games are, right? And then Sony just kind of pissed it away, right? But then Microsoft, they created ID at Xbox. And so going through all these iterations of the games that they have, you don't have to have a stunning AAA title for every game, right? Especially when you watch look at these independent games and what they're doing with them. You don't have to have those massive games to make a successful game.
Right.
And then just the way that Microsoft stuck with this and how they were able to take that and stick it within Game Pass, dude, that was just genius, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like I said, we got games like Blazing Chrome, Cyber Shadow, and these are games that way smaller. Ori, Cuphead, Super Lucky's Tales, the Hunt Down, like games, things of that nature, right? We've had games like this on Game Pass, like Arrow, right? That music game with the it's like a racing game, but that it goes to the music beats.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I played that.
Awesome game.
I couldn't get it because there's too much story.
Real hard, but it's an awesome game. And even that developer came out and said that the game did better on Xbox than it ever did on PlayStation because it was on Game Pass.
Yeah, that engagement. The engagement is a real thing.
And they even announced where I'm sorry, dude. Where they even announced today that Streets of Rage did like 2.5 million. And remember, Streets of Rage was on Game Pass day one. We didn't have to pay for it the way everybody else did. And I'm wondering how much of those sales actually came from Xbox or helped. Because for a beat 'em up, that's unheard of, especially this day and age. Almost 3 million units sold, right? Okay, and it was on a Game Pass. also. I'm very curious to see how many of those were
Yeah,
for the
I'd
Xbox.
really like to do. I wish we could see that, like a deep dive into that. I don't think they're going to share that, but
Because even if
um,
it sold, even let's say, even if it only sold 1 million copies on Xbox, right, and then it did 1 million on PlayStation, and let's say 500,000 on the Switch, right? Let's just say it's still very impressive because Microsoft put it on Game Pass, and it still managed to sell 1 million on that console and on that ecosystem. You get what I'm
well,
saying?
well, I think that yeah, that engagement and that exposure is what that's what you hear the developers like the most. That there's
Right.
people, number one, especially for the ID at Xbox guys, they have people playing their games, so that's a plus for them, right? Because they're
Mhm.
creating something that they want to create. Like you're gonna have a game like 12 minutes coming out soon, right? For game, I think
Yeah,
that's gonna
yeah,
be
12 minutes. I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So a game like that, dude, that's kind of tricky because some people just by the title alone, right? They might be like, what is this only a 12 game? I'm not gonna buy this. But when you have it in Game Pass, you can try it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a game that is well. Let's come on. Let's be real because I said this in one of my videos. I said, even I said even a game like Octopath Traveler, right? It's a niche type of style game. Not everybody's gonna want to buy it. So by trying it on Game Pass and then enjoying it, they'll go out buying it. This helps the discovery of people realizing, hey, this is a good game. It doesn't matter if it's a smaller RPG style game. This game is worth owning. It's worth playing. And that's
It's
what
worth
I'm
a
trying to
sequel. It could push a
right
sequel.
or push a sequel. Exactly. So many different opportunities can present themselves because of the success that it can have from being exposed on Game Pass, just like the Yakuza games, right? All on Game Pass, just like Nier Automata didn't get a physical. It came on Game Pass and it came on Xbox, and it did so well that now the sequel or the actual the first game that was remastered that never came out here is coming out now, and they're even making a physical copy day and date, right? For
Dude,
people who like
that
physical
game is
copies.
old school, man. People are talking about it like it's the like everybody played that game. When I played it, I'm like, dude, that can't be a lot of people played it.
Yeah, a lot of people played Nier One on P360. Of course they didn't. That's a lie.
Dude, that's like old school. Playing that game, I was like, I loved it because it reminded me of the old shooters that we played. And
Mm-hmm.
the way they build the different perspectives and stuff like that, of course, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when I played that game, I was like, dude, I can't see people like just casual people playing this game. It's very niche,
Right.
in my opinion.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. And it still managed to do so well. And now the other game that's coming out, physically on Xbox, so that day and date, so that you can buy it if you want to physically, even for those who like physical copies, right? Which proves it helps Judgment, the Yakuza game, that the creators of Judgment, it's coming out physical on the first day and date also. So again, just proves that it could help those games that normally you wouldn't think would do well, like a Dragon's Quest, right? And remember, Dragon's Quest is also available physical on it. Uh, and a lot of people were playing it also on Game Pass. My son tried it out. He don't even like turn-based RPGs. He was just enjoying it because he was playing it through Game Pass. He had to pay for it.
Well, okay, so here's the thing that I don't think like it'll get this bad for Xbox. Hopefully, it don't. Because gaming and movies are two different experiences, right?
Right.
But the funny thing I saw was like, how you watch Netflix? Like I'll watch Netflix, right, and then I'll go to work the next day, and my friend will be like, "Oh, so what did you think of like what did I watch? Spectrum. There's this show I watched on Spectrum that I absolutely loved it, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, it's about these they create these kind of ghost warriors and stuff. It's on Netflix. You should check it out. It's
I've
worth a
seen it
watch. Like
before. I've seen it before. I've never watched it per se, but I
yeah.
definitely seen it before. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I took a chance to watch it. Well, we love sci-fi, right? So we watch anything sci-fi, really. But I really walked away liking that show. And then my friend was like, "So you liked it?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I loved it." He goes, and then so we came up with this term. But he's the one that kind of talked about it. He's asking me how I like it, and he goes, "So what do you think?" I was like, "Okay, well, I always say this: if I could pay for it in the theater, maybe I wouldn't have liked it as much. But since it was on Netflix, I absolutely loved it. Right? It's that Netflix effect.
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we kind of coined that. So like when we talk to each other, or even with Amazon Prime, like he's telling me, hey, there's this show that you would probably like because he knows the kind of stuff I like to watch, right? It's about these guys who run a farm in Tudor England during the Tudor period in England. So basically, it's like going like to one of these, they're going back in time, and you're living on a farm the way it would have been then. So so we kind of use that to gauge it, like what we would like or not. It's like, is it worthy of a buy or is it worthy of being in the theater or whatever? And then I could see like, you're talking about the future of Game Pass, but I could see it getting like to that point where we'll be complaining about stuff in that way, right? Like say like Xbox, like Microsoft buys Telltale, which would be awesome, right? And they could do episodic content for Game Pass. I think that would be a really good idea. And then they will be complaining about like, well, I like the second episode, but the third episode was kind of, that's how you know it's gone to plan, man. That's how you know that it's broken the barrier. When you start having those kind of conversations about this system, the streaming service, basically. Which I wouldn't mind, dude. I would absolutely love that. But
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it'd be interesting to see if they could actually try a model like that, where they do things episodically. That would be interesting to see, to be honest with you.
I think it would be awesome.
That's why, and honestly, I really think that for sports games, Game Pass is probably the best model for it, because they can just update it graphically, right, through software, right, every year, and add the roster updates right through software as well, updates, and just have it there all the time, and people just pay for the new roster, the new whatever, team costumes, whatever the case may be, new graphics.
Dude, they could do a whole new game like they do every year, but stick it in Game Pass and people won't care.
Right, that's what I'm saying, and it'll probably get more engagement and more sales than if they would have sold on the show.
Yeah. Because I don't know what Microsoft and EA, I don't know what kind of deal they have, like what Microsoft has to give up to EA. But I agree with you. That's something that you should, especially with the kind of games that EA has. The only thing I wish EA would do is go back into their old, because I like EA before the game.
They have a nice vault. They definitely have a nice vault that they should.
To be honest with you, man, I absolutely hated Madden. I never liked Madden.
Right, me neither. I was never a big fan of Madden.
I'm never a big Madden fan.
When the Genesis one, and that was very short lived, because once
I played Tecmo,
like once I played Joe Montana Sports Talk Football, I was actually really hooked on that on Genesis. But that's
when all those bro gamers came in, man.
Right. Be funny.
Video games are awesome. Like, Madden's not a video game. I mean, and I love sports, but especially back then. But you know what I'm saying?
And before the NBA lobby was Lakers versus Celtics. Remember?
Yep.
With Magic,
those ones I did.
Magic Johnson, with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, and those big EA titles. Yeah.
I would play Tecmo basketball because you had guys like Kiki Vandeweghe.
Right.
At Purvis Ellison, you had the guys that I really, really liked. I'd be playing my friends, beating them, and then I would use Kiki Vandeweghe because my friends didn't know who he was, and that he was like an all-time like awesome scorer and he's a great shooter. So I'd be bombing threes on him, and they're like, "Man, who is this guy?"
That's funny.
Yeah. But I mean, they had stuff like the other series that I like. They had Urban Assault, Desert Strike, Urban Strike, Desert Strike, and Jungle Strike, stuff like that.
That was part 1, 2, and 3. Yep. Soviet Strike, Desert Strike, and Jungle Strike.
Right.
And Jungle Strike. Yeah, those games were amazing. Those games were so.
Didn't they do Wing Commander? Was that them? Were they the ones that did Wing Commander? Or is that somebody else?
I think it was them. It's like I was one of their early PC titles, Wing Commander. Yeah, I think so. I think it was them.
I wish they. So for me, I was like, I don't know what they're paying them, but I agree with you, man. I mean, having that in your vault.
Like I said, they had some good stuff, and they would try different things. Like.
That's probably they're after electronic arts. Arts of electronic.
Like people think they just got big because of their sports titles, and that's not true. I mean, that was one of the reasons, obviously, but they really got big because they had a lot. They had a lot of diversity too, and they just kind of strayed away from that as time went on, and only worried about whatever actually sold guaranteed for them, which was obviously the sports games, right? So it kind of is what it is, but so I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think it's without saying that Game Pass is the new beast in town, and we gotta watch out and see what happens next.
Yeah. 100% agree with you what you're saying about it. The sky's the limit, and for going forward, I mean, if they're really like, and we said this before, like I really do think they should look at the Netflix model. I mean, it's a little bit different because the engagement you get on games and the fan base on games, I think is actually a little bit more better. It's actually better than what you get on Netflix because Netflix is like so fly by night, But with Game Pass, I mean, you can have a real connection with your audience
Yeah,
that you will just want to experience in other streaming services, other mediums. But I definitely think like something like picking up a Telltale Games to do like episodic content. What you just said about EA, maybe they'll buy EA. Um, getting somebody like dude, there's rumors that Ubisoft's service might come to Game Pass as part of
yeah.
the
And there was
subscription.
even rumors saying that they might even include like you would get movie access to movies with Game Pass
Really?
included as well. Yeah, where you would get free movies that were included every month as well, which I think would be cool. I
Oh,
mean,
didn't they shoot that down? Wasn't that part of the goal?
yeah. But I'm saying there's even rumors that might be also
Oh my.
incorporated, right? Which is weird because because I think that's why they're going for that logo name change of Xbox Network as opposed to Xbox Live. You see what I'm
They should
saying?
take my name. I'll sell my name to them. Xbox all in. There you go. Just take it. All right,
That's
Phil.
all in, right? Just gave me a couple million, you got it.
Dude, I'll do
Hey,
it for I'll do it for like 2 years of Game Pass for free.
right. That's a
Give me one of
good
those things
deal,
they
man.
give the stallion, dude. Give me like a
Lifetime, just lifetime, just
yeah,
give me
like
lifetime. That's it. We good. Yeah, for sure, man. So, like, I don't know. I'm actually, you know what it is? It's weird because now it's like, now the conversation is, will it make sense to put it on Game Pass, right? Instead of saying that, now it's like, damn, I can't wait to see what they're gonna put on next Game Pass. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
yeah.
what?
Well,
Like,
we're
why are
we're
they
happy
saying
about
that?
it, man. The guys on the other side are like scared, like shaking.
I'm like, what they gonna put in next? I can't wait because I want to see. What they're gonna save me from having to spend, or what headache are they gonna avoid me from getting? You know what I mean?
Dude, my
And
my
that's how you look at it. I mean, don't get me
my,
wrong.
my,
There's a lot of
my
people that promote it because they're just plain out cheapskates. Let's be real, they're just
oh yeah.
cheapskates.
No, but that's
But
that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. They're gonna capture everyone. They're,
right,
they're gonna catch all those guys. That's what it's man. It's like a big net that you just throw it into the ocean, man. Look, dude, I'm going for tuna, but sometimes you're gonna catch a couple cod. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. That's kind of
But
like
that's
that's
okay.
kind of like that's kind of like saying they're the casualties of war. You know what I mean?
No, that's the great thing of Microsoft, and you know it's real because that's how Phil's been. That's what he's been preaching, and he's
Hey,
been
look
sticking to
at the
this
end of that.
doctrine of his. You
Right.
know?
At the end of the day, if they're cheapskates, as long as they're subscribing every month, who cares?
Yeah, you don't care. You don't care, dude. Dude, this dude makes like controllers for like 0.0001% population,
Right.
and he means it. When I watch Phil and he says something, dude, it's just like it's bang, dude. It's just like okay, like I don't think he's saying that for marketing. He really means that stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's what's serving. It's paying. He's paying dividends, and the great thing about it is he doesn't do it to pay dividends. He's actually honest about it, and
I
it's,
think
and that's rare in this day and age, man. It is.
I think his goal should be if Sony gets out of the industry as a console maker and has to turn into full-fledged software developers, bring the Sony software studio to Game Pass.
Dude,
That would
oh
be so
gosh.
hysterical. Do you
No, dude,
imagine?
that would
Oh
not
my
be.
God.
That would not be, dude. That would be the end of. That's just
That would make up for all the things they did to my Sega. I would love
yeah.
it.
No, you're not bitter at all.
You know?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That would be. I'm telling you, man. It's Spider-Man. If we find out Spider-Man's coming to Game Pass, dude.
Yeah, imagine, dude. And I mean, it's
And then,
true because again, they don't own it. They don't
but I mean,
own it.
it's look, dude. Like Marvel is like the Avengers game is just struggling right now.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I discussed the way they structured it. Instead of doing what they were good at and just making it straight out like they did with Tomb Raider, but with just the main characters, marking it, concentrating on the story while you're playing co-op. They wanted to do it too much like, with Destiny elements, like a looter shooter, when that doesn't work for a superhero game. Because superhero game, you got to do different things. You can't just do the same thing over and over again without putting any type of originality or creativity or diversity, because then it's going to become boring. Because bad enough that you're already a strong superhero and you got to do the same thing, and you got these powers, and you basically can overpower most of the things in our regular planet, right?
Well, I can tell you. I'll tell you what the one of the main problems is with that game. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and this is coming from a perspective of MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, I assume they have the rights to it, right? But couldn't they make the characters look like the characters from the movie?
Mm. I don't
You
think
know what
that's
I
what
mean?
they were aiming for. Yeah, I don't think so. I think
Well, they
they were
should have.
just
They
trying.
should have. They should have aimed for it. I mean, the popularity for a lot of the people who are MCU fans, I'll tell you this straight up. Because my thing with the MCU is not the Marvel Cinematic Universe; it's the Marvel Comics.
Right, the comics. All right,
That's what it means
absolutely.
to me, right? And so for me to go out there and buy it, right, I wanted to have some kind of reflection of what I like. Now, if you're gonna do the MCU and that's what you're gonna sell me on it, right? Okay, well that could kind of work because I watched the MCU or Marvel Cinematic.
Right.
But I mean, to me, like when I look at that, I'm like, dude, you have a fan base that's there already, but they know Thor only as Chris Hemsworth. They know Captain America only as Chris Evans. They know Tony Stark only as Robert Downey Jr. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but then it comes to play that they got to pay all these actors. It becomes way more
Right.
expensive, and they can't afford it because then they have to keep licensing it every year, renew it. You know what I'm trying to say? I think that's the logistics of it. That's the complications that come with the logistics. Because licensing is a big problem, and I think
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why you see a lot of people stay away from certain things because of that, because of the licensing. That can be a long-term issue that is bad because music, likenesses, voiceovers, things that people created of famous people that like art style, artwork, whatever. And that's the issue. That's why I always say it's better to go with your own creative style. So in that sense, I definitely 1,000% understand where you're coming from because you have an absolute great point. It would have been brought people a lot as faster in because they're familiar for them. Most people know Thor as Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans as
Well,
Captain America.
the new fans,
Right,
yeah.
you're absolutely right. But the biggest issue is now the game becomes even more expensive, long term, short term, especially that the game hasn't supposedly sold very well for them. Then you got to worry about reissuing, renewing. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right,
Bringing
right, right.
these guys in to do the voiceover. Whenever they do need DLC, they got to come back in and do more voiceover work. So that's why I know why they didn't do it. But you're absolutely right. Had they done it, the game would probably been, nonstop talked about.
Well, I mean, and then I think a lot has to be said about social media, man. I just think social media is just full of crap. Like how people get
Yeah,
excited about stuff.
yeah. Because I mean, I think if this game would have been exclusive, maybe to the Nintendo Switch or even PlayStation, I think it would have never had that much hate either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. I think the minute that they know it's a game that's going to be on every platform, especially when they say it's going to be on Xbox, they're like, "Oh fuck that! That game's going to be garbage." You know what I'm saying?
Well, there was also
Because
that thing about the Spider-Man exclusivity, right?
mm-hmm,
That pissed off
mm-hmm.
people.
That also pissed off people because not only is it exclusive, it's exclusive without an explanation because this is not the Marvel, this is not Spider-Man from the Spider-Man game that was created for Sony
Right.
by Sony for their system. No, this was actually the creation of Spider-Man from Crystal Dynamics, right? So why are you making it exclusive if Spider-Man don't belong to them? Because they don't have the video game rights; they have the movie rights. You see what I'm trying to say? So all that also got people offended and upset because of that.
Well, I heard the guy
And,
said, "Well, just go
and
buy a
with reason.
PlayStation." Didn't he just say that? Like, "Oh, just go buy a PlayStation."
You're absolutely right. On Twitter said, "Well, go buy a PlayStation if you want to play the Spider-Man DLC." And he
Well,
worked
I mean,
for
which
and
is
he
not
worked for
wrong.
Crystal. Yeah, but he worked for Crystal Dynamics. But coming from a developer, it makes it sound like he's a schmuck.
Right.
And Xbox fans, one thing they are is they hold grudges. They don't play that shit because that's why
Well,
That's why Dead Rising 4 failed on Xbox. That's why
some of our brethren, though, they play both sides, as we all know.
Oh yeah, I know. But I'm saying, for the most part, they'll stand by their point. Like, for example, you saw Control didn't do well, even though they did. Quantum Break did well.
Right.
So same thing like Titanfall 1 did well, but 2 did it because of what was said by Respawn and the guy inside Respawn. Remember, he said that schmuck analogy where he said, "Oh, doesn't it look great in blue?" Remember, he said that stupid schmuck comment. And that pissed people off. Or when Capcom was trying to act like, oh, they didn't care about Dead Rising, and Microsoft was completely funding it, and yet when 3 did well, because 3, although it was when Xbox didn't have enough consoles up there, right? It wasn't the leading platform, so to speak, but it still managed to sell about 4.3 or 4.5 million units, right? And then Part 4 came out, and within the 2 platforms, because they decided, well, we're going to make it only time exclusive, then we're going to bring in a PlayStation. You saw that it barely hit 1.4 million within 2 platforms because the Xbox guys just said, no, we're not buying it because you didn't keep it exclusive to us. But yet Street Fighter till this day is exclusive. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
On PlayStation. So Xbox guys, in that sense, right? Even though we got a lot of weak Xbox so-called fans, and I call it out all the time. A lot of weak Xbox fans, and I'm
like we say, man.
I'm talking about weak fans like a Randor Thor, right? And when I mean weak, I'm not saying they're a bad person. No, I'm talking about they're the ones that claim to be the end-all, be-all fans of Xbox. And then they were the first ones when 2015 and 2017 and 16 had kind of that drought when PlayStation was bringing out all those games like God of War, like the Uncharted, right? Oh, Microsoft has to do better. This is the type of games they got to bring out, not saying and realizing that Sony was having these bigger AAA titles because they had a drought the first 3.5 years. They had nothing, right? Because they were getting their games ready, right? Meanwhile, Microsoft had everything right in the very beginning, and then they gave us little trickles here and there throughout the whole generation while they restructured, right? And that's why somebody like Randall or even Cole Eastwood, he did the same thing. Even Dealer did the same thing, for Christ's sakes. I'm not afraid to mention the name because it's true. They did it. Angry Joe did the same thing. Rich Review Tech did the same thing. I mention these guys by name. I can give 2 flying fucks because they're not on my level. I'll tell them right in their face if I see them in person.
Angry Joe is like the last person I listen to anything.
Exactly. They're freaking Joe. You know they're all about the clickbait. They're not about the actual love for companies or games, right? Even though they try to act like that they do, right? So again, like I said, those are the weak Xbox guys that I say that are supposed to be the leaders, but yeah.
Oh yeah, well,
this is what they do.
Well, then, look, for me, like these developers, they're just feeling themselves just a little bit too much. They've always done that. Or when I look at them, I'm like, man, you guys think you're really special, man. This isn't like the 90s. Capcom, this ain't the 90s. When you guys dominated.
Yeah.
Or I spend my allowance. I mean, well, I didn't get allowance, but whatever loose money I got, I was spending.
They swear this is the 80s and 90s when the only choice you had was to go out and buy. If not, you can't do shit because you had no options. When now you have options, you don't have to just go out and buy it. Like, dude,
and now
crazy?
Gamepass.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Dude, again, we're not starving on this side, and that's what they need to realize. And it's interesting that you mentioned all of that happened in the past, because I think that's what put Phil on this path initially. Right. There's one kind of a like a cold streak I see within Phil, and I don't mean that in a bad way, man, but I mean that he got was when they were getting screwed over with the whole, you help these companies out, and then they, and Microsoft, look, Xbox, these guys always want to be the nice guys and stuff like that, but that'll stick on you sometime. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So thanks to all of that, we have what 30. How much do we have? 75 studios now. What is Microsoft at?
Right. But
Microsoft
the
has
worst part, the worst part is that people will be like, because when you're talking and you're saying things, right? They'll think that oh look, they're just hating on these other guys because they have a better subscriber base because they got bigger people following. No, we're pointing out the reality that because these people didn't care. They didn't care when Microsoft was in the worst drought and the worst point of their console history, right? And in that generation, they didn't fix or help the situation. What they did was they made it worse and made it
Dude,
seem like it was pointless or like it was just stupid and they were dumb. And now you want to see how they go? Oh yeah, we knew all along Microsoft was going to do this. We knew they knew they were doing what they were doing. It's like they said it's a chess game. It's not. You know what I mean? And you know they're lying. You know they're being hypocritical. You know that's bullshit. None of them were there saying that. All of them were in doubt. All of them were like, no, and never stuck by their guns and actually were Xbox fans. When you love and care about something, and
because at
and
that
and
time,
and their followers are just like them, cheap. They
yeah.
go with what the narrative, same thing, right? Same exact thing, and then they want to call you toxic or wrong, but yet 80 or 90% of the things that guys like you and me and E-Rock and 100 and even Ghostwriter at the time and even Kaleidoscope when they were actually had their head in the right place were
Oh,
saying,
even Iron Wolf.
right? Or even Firewolf for that matter, right? They were saying the truth that Microsoft, is getting ready for bigger and better things, but it was going to take time, But when and when the doing got tough and heat came, they, some of them receded and didn't want to be part of it because it was too toxic or too hard for them to keep up because it gets exhausting, it gets annoying, it gets exhausting to be an Xbox fan. It really does.
It was a time. That was the time when they needed to stand up, and they did. That's the bottom line.
Right, and
We
they did.
sit
Right.
back
And
and
then
we see it all. And so, like for a lot of these
mm-hmm,
guys now that are coming over, man, if you're Xbox All In, if you're Xbox Strong, if you guys listen to this podcast, and you're
mm-hmm,
Xbox All In, Xbox Strong, don't trust these dudes
mm-hmm.
because they're fair weather, man. If the stuff goes south, if something happens, and Microsoft, and the Xbox goes south, man, these dudes will switch on you. They'll dump you fast.
Oh, absolutely, in a heartbeat, absolutely. Yeah.
Because the time they needed to stand up, they didn't.
Nigga,
I mean, if you're gonna rep Xbox, like if you're not gonna rep Xbox, don't rep it. I'm not saying you have to, but if you're gonna put yourself out there, like how we have. So I'm like you too,
yeah,
man. I don't care if you guys are toxic and tell us. No, we're just honest.
but the difference is we put ourselves out there, but we talk the talk and walk the walk. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We were what we said we were about. We never swayed way. We never turned around. We did and said what we said we were going to do. And now we're being vindicated. Now we're seeing the fruits of our labor and of our good fight because we were fighting for the betterment of Xbox. We were, but we were doing it by not throwing shade, by being critical, but being critical in a realistic and logical and in a real way a fan's supposed to. Not being assholes and being ungrateful and thinking that we know how the things work or thinking that we know better than the people that work at Microsoft. You know what I'm trying to say? That's not how we did it. We didn't do it that way. And I think that's what's driving them crazy. But now they don't want to give credit what credit due. They want to act like, oh no, it was these people. That's just so comical.
Yeah,
Because
they act what that Men in Black, when they said, "Look at the link." That's what they hey, look at the link.
yeah.
Click. It's like,
And
no,
that's
they
the
ain't no
great,
witness, man.
and that's the beauty of social because you have all the receipts. You can go back, look them up, and you can call them
Yeah,
out on their BS. So that's the
dude.
beauty of it.
If I knew how to do that on this, we could do. Like I was thinking about, like getting better at editing stuff and just going back and
Mm-hmm.
doing it. We talk about this and do these videos. We just have it playing in the background.
Yeah, and act like parodies, act like they are, but act as their character, but playing with different names and doing exactly what they did and just be parody. That shit would be hysterical.
Hey,
And
what's up,
fast forward
Fireboss?
to that would be hysterical. Hey, boss, how are you? Hey,
Yeah,
man,
sorry,
thank you
dude.
for
We
saying
got
hi.
another late night one going on.
Yeah. Well, I gotta get stepping because it's already 2:30 in the morning for me, but I'm getting tired. But
Yeah, I'm
like
sorry about
always, no, no worries. You know you don't have to say sorry. I'm just telling you because obviously because of your time difference, you're not gonna know what's going on my end. So,
that. Right, right.
um, But like always, we can keep talking about this for hours upon hours. That's what we do. We've been doing this. This is not new. It's not a new rodeo for us.
We've been
you
here.
know, we've been.
We've been eating at the trough.
And we'll still be here because if things go bad again, I guarantee you we'll be the only ones here looking at the real picture in a positive way, the way it's supposed to be, while everybody else will turn back around and go back on the Sony camp, go back on the Nintendo camp, and then when Microsoft does good again, they'll come back and act like they will be. It's not going to ever change. They're always going to stay the same. You know.
You know what's so sad?
And that's the sad part.
I gotta tell you this, man. I mean, like Zaire always said, "Be the behemoth that you know they can be."
Yeah. Now they're the behemoth.
And he ain't around no more, dude. It's sad. He's like, you should have waited, man. You should have stuck it out.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of guys. But like you said, they will still be.
That's right. And I think that we're okay with that. You know what I mean? Because that means that we'll always have the pride of we've always been the real representatives and we've always been real. And no one could ever say anything different about us in that sense. You know what I mean? Even though Microsoft will never, probably placate to us and will always go to where,
it's better that they don't.
The followerships are, the viewerships are, just because they know it's for better, just because they know it's better for marketing or for promoting because, they want to go where people are at. But even if it's not the right place,
And but that's not, like, for us, man. That's not how we are anyway. I mean,
right. I mean,
just buy Sega already, Phil. Stop messing around. Buy Sega.
Right, exactly. Stop bullshitting.
Yeah.
Stop bullshitting. Buy Sega, goddammit.
Probably have to stop making podcasts again. I'll get back on Vector, man.
If it was only that easy, right? I wish.
I don't know, man. After all the stuff we've seen, if they came out with that like next month, I wouldn't bat an eye.
Yeah, but can you imagine, man? Like, Sega, and it would be the right thing for them too. I'm telling you, it would be the right thing for them.
They need content. They want to be Netflix. They need content.
They could be creative, but they need the freedom of money, of budgeting, and that freedom. They need that type of budgeting and freedom that Microsoft can provide. That's why I'm saying that.
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, on the front service, man, just having picking them up and doing a Dreamcast store within Gamepass.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or even Saturn stuff, because Saturn was never really, was a lot of things overlooked that was never even touched, like Burning Rangers, like
Burning Rangers, Shining Force 3, Burning Chapters 2 and 3.
Yeah. Like freaking Mr. Bones, Clockwork Knight 1 and 2, the 330
Mr. Bones.
330
Zero. They could revisit that franchise.
Yeah. Those games.
Well, the guy passed away, so I don't know if they could do that.
We have 4K updates and and resolution updates and frame rate. Those shits would be amazing, man. They'd be amazing to have on Game Pass,
And the only reason I say that, I would like Microsoft, because Microsoft would go that effort to try and get that licensing. Like with the Dreamcast, as good as the Dreamcast, a lot of that stuff would be Microsoft would, work that out with the developers and stuff.
The problem with Dreamcast is the license. They have a lot of big items there.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Because like some of the.
I would love to see them doing the Echo again, another Echo, the way they did the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast Echo itself was fantastic, and I wish they did that, but again.
There's some games on Dreamcast, man. Like if you did, Choo Choo Rocket.
Choo Choo Rocket, Super.
Yeah, dude, that was such a. It's like a party. Oh yeah, the party game. Oh, which one?
Super Magnetic Neo.
Super Magnetic Neo. Mr. Driller was multi-platform, wasn't it? Was Mr. Driller multi? It was,
yeah. Yeah. But I think it was on Dreamcast too, and also
it was, but I think it was on PlayStation.
Like the Berserk game, a lot.
Oh yeah, that Berserk game was good. Especially for its time.
Yeah, they had a lot of great stuff. That would definitely work It'd be nice to see updated now. Um, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, just like what they've been doing with like some of these older games, and with the boost and the upgrading the stuff off the because like one of my favorite games. But that's not a. Is Soul Reaver was that Legacy of Kain? But they had Soul Reaver on Dreamcast. Was that exclusive to Dreamcast? Or was that on
No,
PlayStation?
no, no. So Reaver actually started on
On,
PlayStation
oh,
1.
the
I want to
Legacy
say
of
1.
Kain was on Dreamcast, right?
No, no, no. It was Legacy of Kain and even the Legacy of Oben. Remember
Yeah.
the other one? They were also on PS1. But
Oh,
then they went to Dreamcast and they did like a port that were like a little bit better. Like it's
oh,
like
that's right. The birth force, yeah.
Shadow Man. Like remember
Yeah,
Shadow Man?
yeah, 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 yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, Shadow Man was another one. Um,
MDK.
uh,
Is it in Murder?
yeah, and MDK is another one. Yeah.
Oh,
Um, there's just so many. Cannon Spike, Red Star.
oh, Cannon Spike, dude. I remember.
So I mean, just like I said, I think there's an audience there, and it would work. But the biggest problem is that it's Sega's licensing and restrictions with Japan too. They're so restrictive. They could only buy under an Xbox of Japan, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I have
and
faith.
then
I have
and
faith in.
then and then license it out, to America as well. But again, digitally they can put everything there because it's region free and have no risk. So
Dude.
there's still
We might be
many
going back.
options.
We might be going back to the old Saturdays, man. We could, like how we used to mod our stuff just to play the Japanese game.
Yeah, yeah, man, yeah, for sure, yeah, big time.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up, man. Because I know, dude, I don't want to. I've taken up enough of your time, man. I do appreciate
No,
you doing
no, no, man. It's like I said, I'm just tired. Been a long day. Like I said, I'm recovering from this stupid damn COVID thing. I'm out of the thing. Took my new test today. Hopefully, we'll get our results tomorrow. Hopefully, everything will be positive. I mean, not positive, but negative,
it.
and we can move forward, right? Being careful and hoping for the best because
Right.
it's just I haven't been sleeping well since I had it. I guess the worried and just the aches and the pains in the body. So that's what I had the most aches and pains and some smelling issues. Other than that, I was very lucky. I didn't have none of the severe symptoms or anything that was with with great gravital outcomes or something like that. You know what I mean?
No, no,
Which so which a lot of people have suffered from. Especially brothers
right.
of ours that have family members die and all that.
Yeah,
Which is not cool. Which is not cool, man. It's not cool at all.
right. Yeah, it's a real thing, bro. I mean, like I said, I worked at a hospital. So.
Right. hmm So firsthand.
Yeah, yeah,
You
you have to
know.
be cautious. Yeah, but again, thank you for coming on, bro.
No,
So we
thank
just
you
got two
for
more in the
having me.
series that we're gonna do. We're gonna do that'll probably be the battles. We're gonna talk about, especially the media part. Talk about the media, and then the next one will be the actual gaming community. Man. 'Cause, again, it's just watching the mechanizations of all of this stuff happening is just amazing.
Right. hmm
And I've listened to a lot of people I normally wouldn't listen to. Watch a lot of videos I normally wouldn't, just to get a feel of
hmm
everything, man. And I can say
Well,
after everything that I've seen, it's changing.
I have a different an understanding of the angles too that
Right.
they're coming from, right? And what's their perspective? Because a lot of them, even though they're shifting, they're still refusing to give full credit. They still want to kind of,
Oh yeah, and they can,
you know.
and they can do that if they want to. But again, like I said, like the title of this, man, Game Pass is that great equalizer in a sense that it doesn't really
Mhm.
matter what they're doing. I mean, they're just kind of along for the ride. So either they
Right.
got to jump on board or get left behind. And look, there's some stuff that's kind of that can be bad with that as well, right? I mean, like you were talking about watching that presentation, and then the two people that hosted the show. That's
Right.
just that's just like you said, the casualties of war, right? That's just something you got to deal with. So there's
Yeah,
those type
yeah.
of things. But overall, as far as the narrative itself, man, of Xbox has no games. Xbox is this. Xbox is weak. Game Pass is a joke. Game Pass is a welfare pass. They won't get any good
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man,
Yeah.
I'm holding out for Spider-Man, dude. If Spider-Man comes, I'll be nice, dude. I won't do a video, but we'll talk.
Mm.
I'll call you, man.
Or even,
You're the first
or
person I'll
even, or
call.
even, or even, or even Street Fighter. If Street Fighter came over too, it'd be the same way.
Dude, but Spider-Man is Miles, and then get the Miles Morales on top of that, dude. These people was, dude,
Yeah. Well, that will be sweet bitter. A real sweet taste in your mouth because that's all they've been talking about for the last
dude.
3 years, I think. What, 3 years? Yeah, 3 years they've
And
been talking
like
about
I'm a
Spider-Man.
Marvel guy, so I like Spider-Man, dude. But even they, dude, they even they're irritating me with that. It's just like, man, dude, what?
They make you not be want to be a fan. That's how irritating it is.
I'm like, dude, you even making me like this crap.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, it's
It's funny.
dude. Well, okay, so yeah, we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Oh, we have two people watching. I'm sorry. Hey, thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Whoever it is, you rock. That's all I
Thank you.
got to say.
Sorry, dude. We get caught up in this stuff, but we just
Yeah,
do
you
time.
definitely rock.
Yeah.
Definitely rock because it's rough out in these streets watching a podcast this late. Especially if
Yeah.
you're at Eastern time.
Yeah, the East Coast,
If
man.
you're Hawaii time, you golden. If you're
Yeah.
Eastern time, you're screwed.
Yeah, dude, you could be playing Xbox. You could be playing Octopath instead of watching it.
Dude, right now you're working for me as a what you call it as a therapeutic therapy. Like you're making me like a therapeutic session to put me to sleep, like to make me relax to go to sleep. That's what this is doing. Having good conversation and making me want to go to sleep. That's actually pretty cool. It's working both ways. I mean that in a good way, not in a negative way.
No, yeah.
I'm
Bro,
not
I'm in the
saying
same boat, dude. I
I'm
have
not
insomnia too, man. Anything that'll help me sleep, I'll be.
I'm not saying I'm bored and I want to go to sleep. I'm saying that it's so therapeutic. I just want to go lay down now because I feel so relaxed and so
I mean,
calm.
just get this stuff off my chest, man. Let people know the truth out there. Game Pass, it's the real deal, man. So,
Yeah. It's the new NyQuil.
it's the new Deco. Yeah,
I'm so stupid. Oh
dude.
god.
Oh, that was a good one. All right, so yeah, this is on the channel. I'm so good for man. Keep on shut yourself out, dude.
Yeah, guys, it's your boy he back with my brother Sega Forever coming at you. And of course he doesn't have a particular name for his podcast, but with the All In Cast, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm glad. I'm very proud and glad to be part of it. Just like I'm glad to be part of my brother's brand and him being part of mine, and we help each other out and do great content when we have the chance to get together. And you guys can always find me also, like I said, on social media, on Twitter under he bot powerful gamer, and Instagram under C_respect. Um, and you can also find me on Sunday nights on the XBL podcast with my brother E Rock and Sega Sega Van and Tuck Master and Unlimited Productions. Which we need to have you on too one of those Sunday nights. Sega Forever. You gotta open up your schedule and come on for a little bit with us.
that's hard.
And
It's the Lord's Day, so
uh, and also on Saturdays,
yeah,
you can catch
Saturdays.
me
Yeah,
on the Alpha Podcast with my brother Sega Man, right? And even Sunday nights with my brother 100 on the Xbox Hot No Games when he shoots me, a link. And sometimes I'm Retro Renegade with Graphic Kyle when he shoots me a link. So I'm a little bit everywhere. Eva is like I'm like the supporting role cast member of all types of podcasts instead of movies.
dude. And then so if you guys, yeah, definitely check out the last Exile podcast, man. That thing was fire.
we
That thing was so awesome, man.
were just being funny, right? Trying to
Dude,
be
it was
clowns,
funny. Like Rock went back into his Dollar King mode. And he was like that on Sega Man, so like you right.
Right,
That's Sega
right.
Man. And then
Yeah,
man,
in my chat.
oh
Yeah, and in my channel too. No, in my channel too. If you guys like video games related stuff or figure related stuff, I have all
yeah,
types of stuff.
definitely.
I put up weekly. I try to, or sometimes daily if I'm in the mood. You could come check out my last interview that I did in Xbox Let's Talk podcast with Zobi 70 from the PlayStation community. We had a lot of fun. It was fun. It was funny. You can check that out as well. You know,
Zobi's an old soul, man. He's an old school gamer, man.
he's a good guy. He's a good
He's
guy.
awesome.
Like he's so misunderstood. If you actually sat down and talked with the guy, like I had the privilege to do so, you realize that he's a really good dude. But I kind of knew that already a while back. He's just a misunderstood. Most people when they're misunderstood and they're not the same like everybody else, and they kind of do their own path and are different. People always look at them like, oh, he's a weirdo, something wrong, and it's not really that. It's because he's not the norm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
he's his own person, man. One thing I love about him is, he'll speak
right.
on it. Yeah, 100 does that. 100, Mr. 100 does that.
hmm
E-Rock, man. E-Rock's like that too. So,
Yeah, it's
definitely
like
check these
100.
out.
100 is a fucking sweet, kind, good-hearted person, man.
He's a nerd,
Underneath,
man. He's such a
underneath all that show, that people think he's like this really, rough riding type of person, which he can be. Don't get me
He
wrong.
can be, yeah. I mean,
But he's just such a good person. Same thing like E-Rock. E-Rock, people think he's crazy because he likes to do parodies and crazy videos on his channel with his weapons and stuff like that. But in reality, if you know the guy, the way that I've gotten to know him, you realize the guy is a good dude. He has a big heart, very class act, very smart, very intelligent man,
it was kind of
super
funny, man.
intelligent.
That whole,
So
that whole, uh, that
yeah, the
whole
same
gun
way he
thing,
could,
dude.
yeah, the same way he could be very like rough riding, street talking, hood like. You can have a conversation with him where you realize he's a very smart, intellectual person, very
Well,
well versed,
here's the
very
sad,
intellectual.
here's the sad part, dude. It's just like, even if, like, when I see people critiquing him and stuff like that, the sad part is they can't even come close to him as far as, his personality and how entertaining he is.
Yeah,
So,
he does some wonderful movie vlogs on Instagram. Like
yeah.
every time he watches a movie, even if you don't agree with him, because sometimes he does stuff that I don't agree with, but he does very, very good, well thought out vlogs that you can tell that from the heart, very kind, and he means it, from the heart in a good way, not to just be malicious and trash something. You know what I'm trying to say? He does it in a
Well, I
very
mean,
respectful way, it's really good stuff. Yeah, really good stuff. I would
yeah,
recommend to follow him on Instagram just so you can see his movie vlogs. I read all of them. They're always fun.
yeah, he's honest too. So that's a rare commodity. Him 100 and then and going back to Zobi, like you said, that's what one thing I like enjoy watching. The perspectives. You just
Yeah.
can't always have people that in your circle that always think the same way. That's how stuff gets
Yeah,
wrong.
and it's okay. And it's okay to disagree because it's good to see other people's perspective and realize why they don't see it the way you did. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting. It's always a good conversation, in my opinion. It always feels good, to have a back and forth to get other perspectives. Because then you realize, well, I never thought of it that way, or I didn't see it that way. And vice versa. They probably feel the same when you talk to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Everybody has their own uh, niches too.
hmm
We
Yeah,
all
yeah.
operate. I mean, we're all in this Xbox community, but we all operate on different
Well, that's
levels.
what I always said to you. Remember, I've always said to you, we all have something to offer because we're all our own personality as individuals.
Right.
Even though we're doing the same thing. You get what I'm saying? So, and it's true. I believe that. I believe in that. Very wholeheartedly. I really do. So yeah, guys, that's where you can find me. It's been an absolute blast. My YouTube channel is He Bots, capital H, capital B, everything else lowercase with a hyphen between the E and the B.
Yeah. Thanks, my brother. And again, thanks for being here.
No, thank you,
Um,
brother.
So as you guys can see, if you guys want to look for me, this is the YouTube channel that I'm on. Using StreamYard to do about upgrade, so we'll see how it goes from there. Put some content together. Definitely invite you back, bro. I mean, we'll try
Follow
and
me
work on
also
better
on
times.
Instagram. Follow him on Instagram. Follow him on Twitter because he's there too. He just likes to hide.
Well, I mean, I would recommend me go over there, but I don't know. The algorithm doesn't like me.
Are you sure it's not? Are you sure that it's not the political freaks?
So that's what I mean. The algorithm doesn't like me. I just leave it at that. So, but you can find me on YouTube.
Yeah. You can find me
So
on
far,
YouTube.
as far as I know.
That's the safest and best place to find me on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll just keep it at that right now. I mean,
Yeah, that's funny.
but definitely go check out these guys, man. Check out these other podcasts. Look, if you guys are Xbox, right, and you guys want the real deal, this is where you go to. Like, if you want, if you like, you know, like I follow I Just Eat, for example, right? Because she does a lot of different products and stuff like that. Get her opinion on. And, I'm not saying all of that's fine, right? But for a lot of you guys who, kind of complain and moan about the gaming industry and why isn't Xbox represented, well, this is why. I mean, if you want to find out the real deal about what's going on with Xbox, this is where you come. Because we're just not in it just to get views. We're not in it to just build our channels. We're in it because we're consumers and fans. So it matters to us on that level. When things go bad with Xbox, dude, we're still here. And that's the way it's always going to be.
Yeah.
So anyway, on the channel, we'll take it forever. Yeah.
Yeah.